Hello and welcome to yet another video from yours truly, Gilded Poo. And for today's lovely video, we're going to be talking about a YouTuber that goes by the name Stale2000. Who is Stale2000, you might be asking? Well, Stale2000 is a very interesting character that looks like the personification of what everybody thinks when they think Reddit mod. And also simultaneously looks almost exactly like the actually gif that everybody uses. Minus the glasses, of course. But no, he looks like a Reddit mod because he is a Reddit mod. Well, was a Reddit mod. You see, he is most well known for making a video addressing the CEO of Reddit after he was unceremoniously removed from a subreddit.
Hello, Spez, Mr. CEO of Reddit. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. If not, I hope anybody who cares about the topic in this video can get this to him in any way that you can. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness, and that is of Reddit moderation and the state of your platform.
Yes, dire seriousness, very important, of the utmost importance. War in Iran, war in Palestine, war in Ukraine, whether or not this dude runs a subreddit. Yeah, it's right up there. It's above all of that. But this guy doesn't just make videos about how he was removed from Reddit. He also made this masterpiece of cinema.
It is me, Irrelevant Potter, and I challenge you to a magical debate, Lord Infrared Mort, Expecto Debate Bro. I accept your challenge, Irrelevant Potter. Hey, wait a minute. Isn't Irrelevant black? I used magic, the Polyjuice potion. Cololara Blanco, there's no blackface in this video. Bah, it matters not. Bogart, pretend I had sex with your girlfriend. Petrificus Totalis, your arguments are made in malice. You call me bad faith? I'll show you bad faith. Avada, you're a pedo. Reverso uno. That spell, what does it do? You know how you just called me a pedo? Yes, it was my most powerful debate tactic. Have you considered that actually you're the real pedo? No, I've been defeated.
Yeah, that was most certainly a video of all time. You need to really understand how serious he takes being a Reddit mod. He made this video where, in this video, he says the following.
Reddit should be shaping global conversations daily. Instead, it feels passive. Scroll, upvote, leave. And that's not just a platform problem, it's a leadership problem. So who are the creators of Reddit? When we think of creators, we normally think of YouTubers, streamers, and influencers. But on Reddit, the most powerful creators aren't posters, it's moderators. Moderators decide what survives, what gets removed, what tone is allowed, what culture forms, what events happen, whether a subreddit evolves or stagnates. A subreddit is not a feed. It is a designed environment, and moderators are its designers. The problem, most moderators don't act like creators. They act like referees, or worse, hall monitors.
That's because the moderators are hall monitors. That's the job of a moderator. They're not a content creator. They're just some asshole that abuses power that he has over nobodies on a website. Like that's literally the job of a Reddit mod, bro. Wow, okay. So needless to say, this guy takes Reddit very, very seriously. But not just Reddit. He also takes the internet very seriously. And I know that because I had a conversation with him. The full convo, of course, will be at the end of the video. But he said this in the conversation.
We've gone over, I think, really the crux of all of these arguments, which is, I think that the internet matters. And I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to debate you out of that. And I think a lot of people don't. And that's why they do all these things.
Can you define what you mean by matters?
I think it's important. Like, I think that we should do good things on the internet and we shouldn't do bad things. And it affects real life. Like, just like your interactions in person matter, just like it's important to not be an asshole in person or to be nice, it also matters online. And people think that there's this separation, and I don't see that separation. Like, just like if somebody, like, for example, if somebody threatened to kill me in person, like, yeah, I should just dox them at that point. I should call their friends, right, and tell them, or their family members or their workplace, and tell them about, like, the threat they did. So why shouldn't I do that to people online? Right? Like
So-
that's my actual honor. Like I treat it the same. Somebody threatens me in person to kill me in person in real life, same thing as an internet threat. And I will like treat it exactly the same and go after them exactly the same way.
Yeah, so it's not just Reddit, it's just the internet at large. He takes it very, very seriously, one might say too seriously. And this at least somewhat segues into the main topic of today's video, which is a video he released only a few months ago, where he said that mass reporting is good, actually. And what spawned this video was actually an interaction on Twitter, where he said Chud Logic deserved to be struck because Chud called Nicholas Diorio fat. Chud Logic says a lot more edgy shit than that, and if that's the thing, if that's bad enough that warrants being removed for that particular reason, we're all fucked.
An armed society is a polite society. And terms of service reports are exactly the metaphorical weapon that the internet desperately needs to make it more polite.
That's an insane take, bro. Pretty fucking nuts. I gotta say, I don't think anybody's ever gonna support you on that take.
The internet and its toxic troll communities are much different than how they were 15 years ago. I speak from personal experience. 15 years ago, I was involved in a variety of anonymous IRC chat groups. That is, Anonymous, the infamous hacking group that was DDoSing the Church of Scientology websites, taking down websites that deplatformed WikiLeaks, and even participating in the Arab Spring revolutions by electronically targeting various authoritarian government websites.
Oh no, we got a badass over here, guys, but more on that later.
It's hard to explain how viral Anonymous and its related subgroups like LulzSec were. Internet communities back then were still mostly just full of nerds. The only thing regular people were on was Facebook. Even that was mostly young people. So the advent of a decentralized internet community that was achieving real results, or harm, in the world was unheard of till then. When these online hacking groups did, mattered. It was not jokes, it was not fake, it was not saying mean words, it was targeting your enemies and causing real material harm.
It mattered, guys. It mattered. Blech! Anonymous, man, they were important. They were super serious. That little crusade they did, it was of the utmost importance. They're literally a fucking goddamn criminal organization, according to the FBI. I don't know why we're talking them up like that. They were pretty fucking cringe, bro.
I was in some of these groups as a stupid 21-year-old, and although I never got caught doing anything that got me in serious trouble, I was talking to people who did. I remember interacting with, ended up in prison for digital crimes. The funniest thing that I personally did is I guess I created a fake political party called the Anon Party once, and I tricked a couple media groups into writing an article about it. There might be some archives of the Guardian article that was about this from 10, 15 years ago, but I don't know.
So in my conversation with them, this actually comes up here. When you say you're part of Anonymous, did you mean like you were actually one of the people participating in the hacking and stuff, or just on one of the forums?
So I did create a viral situation. It was called the Anon Party. So I tricked the Guardian into writing an article about me, about how Anonymous was going to create a political party. I can't find the article anymore. I think I got taken down. But that was the funny thing that I did. And then I got doxxed. And then I just got doxxed after that. And so and then I stopped. But yeah, that was the funny thing I did. Is I got a reporter. I was on the call with the reporter. And then they're like, oh yeah, now Anonymous is making a political party. And then a bunch of people in Anonymous were mad at me. Because you're going legit. You can't do that. You can't make a political party. Yeah, so that was my fun trolling moment. But it wasn't hacking. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it still counts, though. That's still funny. I feel like that's still a good troll.
I mean, I would love to see that article, but sure. But the thing is, though, is that you do realize, so I'm asking because from the video it made it sound like you were part of the hacker group. So I was like, I was sitting there and I'm watching the video and I'm like, you do realize you're incriminating yourself when you say that?
No. So there was I found one Reddit thread about this. So I'll put it in your. There's nothing there. It's like deleted. But this was what it was about. And there's no video anymore. So it just says message from the Anon Party.
He sent me the link to a Reddit post where this seems to have been mentioned. But unfortunately, the actual topic, the video, I guess, that was linked there, is no longer there. So whether or not you choose to believe him, I'll leave entirely up to you.
Us internet trolls understood that the stuff that we did mattered. It had real world consequences. We understood that we were in danger, nay, we were the danger. Websites getting hacked was real damage. Your friends and family and workplace being called or harassed was real harm.
We were badasses, bro. Back in my day, we were kicking their digital ass. we were the fucking cyber police. Dude, like, I don't know why the fuck you're talking this up so goddamn much, dude.
This led to an interesting dynamic, and that is, even though these hacking groups and IRC channels were full of dangerous people who really were out to get you, it produced a kind of politeness or cordialness among the people in these groups that were smart. If you were smart, you didn't pick fights with other people, because that other person could be anybody. They could come after you. They could be a master hacker for real. They could harm you, dox you, send harassment towards your family, DDoS you, the works. Now, some people did still pick fights. These were anonymous hacking IRC channels after all, but the people who picked fights didn't tend to last very long. Someone would put their hand on the stove, get burnt, because they unnecessarily pissed off the wrong person, and then they would disappear from the community forever. There was a feedback loop, and it stopped the most toxic of the most toxic from infinitely attacking everyone in the community forever.
I don't know what universe you were living in at the time, but it was absolute chaos. Everybody was going after everybody at all times. So, no, this is not a internet universe that I think we should be pining for. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. I think that romanticizing that era is fucking stupid. I think that's insane. I don't think that was good. I don't think there was anything beneficial from that time period. I think that time period was realistically a large part of why the internet is what it is today. Like, without that period, we wouldn't have such insane fears of doxing and swatting and all that other shit, right? Like, that's fundamentally why today everybody's against it. That's kind of the whole point.
So when the rest of the community observed some toxic idiot pissing off the wrong person and then getting completely pwned in return, what we did is we laughed at them. We called them the R-slur.
The R-slur? What R-slur? You mean rigor?
We called them stupid, because they were. What are you doing? Joining a hacking IRC channel, pissing off a bunch of people, especially when you don't even know how to use a VPN or protect your personal information otherwise. In other words, we lived by the ethos of talk shit, get hit. F around and find out. If you spam slurs against people for weeks on end, well, you better watch your back, because we're going to come after you, and it won't be merely by calling you a slur back in return.
Notice the use of the word we there. Very interesting. But aside from that, I just don't think that's a good idea for modern internet. Or any internet. I think that takes the fun out of the internet. I think that you romanticizing that era is absolutely batshit fucking insane. Nobody wants that to come back. Nobody thought any of that was a good idea after it ended. And aside from that, where are they today? Where is Anonymous today? Notice that no one cares. Barely anybody knows who they are, right? Like, you notice that? You notice how they're like gone, right? They're like dead. Maybe there's a good reason for that.
These groups and their communities stand in stark contrast to how past internet troll groups work. This is for multiple reasons. Number one, of course, these communities are led by an influencer whose job it is to do this. These people are usually not anonymous. They can gain or lose followers, but this is not a decentralized, amorphous group dependent on a common goal. The communities exist around a single person or live stream or in their kind of Discord, and the leader can kick people out. This leads to a large amount of influence that the influencer has over these people, who will do what they ask, say the arguments that they make, and if they step out of line, they'll just get kicked out. This relationship is mostly one way. Real significant consequences or feedback comes less from the fans and more from other creators. And two, it's content, not reality. People join these communities because it's entertaining. They saw a YouTube video, a clip, a tweet, a live stream, and they joined not for a common cause or goal, but just because it's fun. And although somebody may be a fan of certain creators, the people on screen are barely real to the viewers. And this is regardless of the seriousness of the content or drama that the creators are involved in. Sure, sometimes the content or drama is simply two influencers talking shit about one another on Twitter, but other dramas or content will be about if a content creator sexually assaulted somebody or not. And even for a serious topic like that, this really is just entertainment for most people. It rarely occurs to viewers that these are real people taking real action and levying serious allegations against others that have material consequences.
Now, I almost cut that part from the video because realistically it was kind of a boring take, in so much as he's kind of explaining the obvious. He's explaining the obvious of what today might be called snarkers. And the reason I kept it in is I find it strange that he's saying here that, well, they don't take any of this seriously. They take none of this seriously. But he says this in my conversation with him.
I want to talk to you about like why I hate the snarkers so much. Okay. I almost respect, it's because they think that they're right. That's what bothers me most about these guys. Like, if they were just like a troll, if they were just like almost like you, if they were just like sitting behind their screen, like laughing on their alt accounts, like, ha ha ha, I got him, I would respect that.
You're talking about self-righteousness, basically?
Yeah, yeah, if you just if you just want to be a troll and like vandalize Wikipedia, go ahead. But like, you're not. I don't think you're making the world a better place, and it creates so much vitriol, right?
No.
Like, you know, if I'm trolling and I'm never thinking about it later after I'm done trolling. I'm never like, oh, this is my righteous mission. No, you move on to something else,
Right.
But the snarkers don't.
So yeah, how can you both simultaneously be upset that they're just doing this for entertainment while also calling them, what was the word, pretentious or entitled or what have you, right? I don't know. I find it a little strange that you're somewhat, at least seemingly, contradicting yourself here entirely. It's got to be one or the other, bro. You can't have both.
These communities will do everything up to but right before direct doxing, which the creator will usually explicitly disavow as long as it's not happening directly in that community. But they basically endorse everything up to that point. As long as somebody doesn't cross that one line, everything else is completely fair game for infinite levels of toxicity. And I think this dynamic is bad, even if the creator themselves does not reach the same level of toxicity as their community. And these communities act this way because, one, they think it's all just fun and games and there are no consequences to their actions, and two, there isn't anyone bringing the find out part to them after they have effed around. That mostly applies to the random community members, though. For content creators, there can be a clear financial and clout incentive to constantly making your content more and more edgy. You have crazier titles, more controversial takes, and make bigger and worse insane attacks against other content creators. In the past, the feedback loop that would prevent people from being like this was that you'd get, doxxed and harassed in return. And the modern day equivalent consequence that I advocate for in response to this behavior is mass on-platform terms of service reports against the offending parties. Yes, mass reporting. Both because you're allowed to do reports, it's obviously not illegal to go through proper recommended TOS channels to report somebody, and also because somebody getting their account banned can be a serious consequence that causes a person real harm. And you are intentionally causing this real harm to your target for the same reason that people were getting doxxed back in the old school, internet hacking forums. It's to create a feedback loop, a method of accountability, a consequence that stops the worst of the worst actors from destroying a community, except reports are legal and allowed, unlike the stuff that happened in hacking communities 15 years ago.
Holy shit, that was a long clip. So, I find that entire take to be completely bothersome and insane. You see, he justifies this take by saying shit along the lines of, well, stop breaking TOS then, right? But the problem I have with that is that it's not exactly a proportionate response, right? So if somebody goes on YouTube and they say something that's fucked up that technically breaks TOS and you don't fucking like it so you report them, that's kind of gay. In fact, one might say even cowardly. Just because them breaking TOS means that maybe eventually they might get reported, that doesn't justify mass reporting at all whatsoever. That doesn't mean that they necessarily deserved it, even if they necessarily, in theory, broke an arbitrary rule that YouTube very selectively enforces primarily against smaller creators. The other problem with this, of course, is that it also just doesn't work. He didn't research any of this before recording this video, because if he had, he would have noticed that mass flagging actually isn't even effective. In the last quarter of 2025, there were 22 million user reports on the platform. How many of those do you think actually resulted in a video or channel being taken down? It's less than a few 100,000. It is actually woefully ineffective. Now, I should stress here that the 22 million number at the end of the last quarter of 2025 solely accounts for the amount of videos that were reported. Unfortunately, YouTube does not actually show us the exact number of channels that were reported. The unfortunate reality is that YouTube cares far more about spam and misinformation than really anything else, and the overwhelming majority of reports that YouTube appears to listen to at all is actually automated reports, as is made apparent by the graph they show for video removals. It is safe to assume that out of those 22 million reports, if only 100,000 of those are user reports that actually result in a video's termination, then YouTube probably has the same standard for channel reports as well. Encouraging mass flagging doesn't really work as a strategy at all, especially not compared to doxing and swatting and all that other extreme shit, because YouTube doesn't care. They ignore 90% of all the user reports that happen on the platform. They don't give a fuck, thus rendering his entire video kind of moot. In fact, it kind of just makes him look like a petty bitch, to be honest with you, because that's what anybody looks like when they choose to mass flag as opposed to just addressing the criticism they're receiving.
So I understand why people would dislike the very large negative consequences that comes from either TOS reports or DMCA strikes. But my response to that, and the thesis of this video, is that beyond creating some social stigma against reports, there's another way to make yourself completely immune to the consequences of being reported. And that is to simply stop breaking the platform rules all the time, or stop getting so close to the line that you're in a gray area where a pseudo bad faith report might potentially get you banned anyway.
Yeah, he says a pseudo bad faith report on top of that, which is interesting. So what he's effectively doing is saying, well, you know, you wouldn't get reported if you weren't an asshole. Suck the teat of google.com and you won't get removed. Let's take that to its logical extreme, shall we? Women, do not wear dresses in public. If you do, you'll get raped. That's effectively the same logic he's using here. It's literally insane. The truth of the matter is, all of that is just hot air. It's just bullshit he's using to justify his desire to just mass flag anybody he doesn't like. Now, is he actually doing that? I have not seen any evidence of him doing that, but it's definitely something he wants to do. Now, I should point out here, to add to all of that, that more recently, Stale has actually made a, frankly, really hilarious post where he announces his desire to go after Morale, seemingly because he didn't like a tweet that Morale had authored. Now, I should also point out here, on top of that, that this World War snark that Stale was announcing here resulted in basically nothing. Given the fact that Morale deleted and or hid the majority, if not all, the things that he felt violated TOS that Stale could have attacked. So, yeah, either way, I do think you should pause the screen and read everything that you see on the screen. It's a really, really funny tweet. And in my conversation I had with him, he actually goes on to expand on this, saying he wants to create a nicer, kinder internet.
It's not that I actually want people to be banned. It's that I want people to change behavior, right? And so, yeah, like almost like if everybody just decided to be nicer, like without anybody having to do anything.
So you want,
but
then that's just asking for everybody to be fake.
It's, I mean, you choose who you are. Like you can choose to be your best self.
That is being fake. So in other words, his solution to toxic snarkers on the platform is to be as toxic as possible the other direction by being a hall monitor, taking down their accounts in order to make them too afraid to say anything edgy and enforce this kind of toxic positivity that he really, I guess, really wants, which is really just worse. I'd rather people be classically toxic than toxically positive. And I think most people would agree with that.
Just stop living in this toxic, dangerous gray area where one wrong report might get you banned. Be smart. Move it back 10, 20%. Hesitate. You need to stop doing one of the two following things. Either stop being so toxic and associating with yourself with this toxicity and these communities so much, or two, stop being stupid about it. You can be toxic or you can be stupid. You can't be both stupid and toxic at the same time.
Yeah, huh? Can too.
But to give a smart example where I think somebody was doing the right thing was when I saw a clip of also JSTLK related to me. He was debating about whether he should react to some crash out live stream that I did because he was worried that I might DMCA it or something. I would not have, by the way. A bunch of people reacted to that already. So, I can't, DMCA that off the internet. And although I've had my disagreements with JSTLK, he's nowhere near the point where I'd really try to go after him or deplatform him in any way. But I bring this up as an example of somebody hesitating. And I respect that. Not because he's being nice to me. He doesn't have to be nice. He's nowhere close to being somebody that I'd ever come after. But I respect the hesitation because it shows real fear and it affects his actions. I know the bumbling Reddit mod who looks funny persona that I play throws off most people. It makes me seem not threatening. But I'm literally telling you that I was in, infamous hacking group, IRC channels. I can promise you that I am not non-threatening.
Yeah, the bumbling Reddit mod is just a persona. Yeah, and as far as being threatening, look, I think it's a very interesting line. Watch out, guys. I was in anonymous groups, and I'll get you. Like, it's very interesting, that line. And the reason that is really interesting is because in my conversation with him, he walked that back hard. You brought up anonymous in your video, that you were a part of anonymous. First question I really have to ask here. When?
This was in 2012.
Okay.
So okay. I said that, and it sounded like I was a badass hacker, but that's not really what Anonymous was. Anonymous was one of the most egalitarian groups out there.
Yeah, all you had to do was say you're anonymous, and yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You said you were a part of Anonymous, and then later you were like, I know I come off as a nice guy, and people don't see me as a threat, but I am a threat. And it's like, what are you gonna dox people? Like, what are you gonna hack them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how you went about saying that right after saying the other thing came off like you were implying you were some hacker bro from the Anon.
I wouldn't. Okay, the internet's changed now, right? So if I were trying to cause harm to people, it's not like hacking that I would do. There's so many better ways of causing harm.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying that's how it came off in the video. Was like you were implying that if you I used to be a part of Anonymous. If you push me, I'll fuck with you, right? Like that's how it came off really heavily in that video.
That is okay. That is true, but it's not through hacking. Okay, what even is hacking?
Sure.
Okay, people think this is so crazy. When I think of hacking, I just think of having the will to do it. Okay, thinking thinking about what are the things that you could do that are available to you. It doesn't even have to be that hard, and just doing it. I could tell you. Oh, I don't know if I should say this. I could tell you something that could destroy the entire creator economy.
Okay.
Well, it's not okay. I'm just saying DMC. Okay, you know DMCA.
Mm-hmm.
That is that is the easiest way of just destroying creators because everybody reacts to everybody. Yeah. And so you could just get so many people banned.
In theory,
okay, so,
yeah.
I could just I've had people react to my stuff. I would not do it, but it's just fun to think about.
Yeah. So. What the fuck is this? Bro, why would you do that? Why would you say that? That's so cringe. This is why I call him a cringe lord. This is insane. And what's funny is, if you think that's unhinged and the contradiction is silly, in my conversation with them, another funny moment happened that was way more unhinged than all of that. And that was that if he had too much of an issue with fucking chatters, he would go after them. I just wouldn't go after a chatter. I think that's weird.
Well, like, would you think that's like wrong? Like, why? Why do they get to be invincible? Like,
It's
safe?
not that they're invincible and safe. They're just irrelevant, generally speaking. Like they don't really do anything. Like they're just there in a chat. Like they're peanuts. You know, I don't know. I just don't take them very
Yeah, but
seriously unless they're like
but the
doxing or
peanuts-
something like you know, like something actually serious. Like, but yeah, if they're just saying insane shit, like I don't know, calling somebody I'm talking to a pedophile or something, like I'll just ignore them. I don't really care. They're anons. Like going after an anonymous person is unhinged, I think, because especially
Well,
since they can just
sometimes
come
they're
back.
not anonymous. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they're not anonymous, and then you could go after them that way. Like I'm almost like arguing for it's like it's funny because in like a weird way, I'm almost ironically arguing for more harassment, but I'm arguing like to harass people for a good cause, right? I right.
I don't think mass flagging is harassment. I just think that's.
Is it like worse than harassment or like what?
I do think that. Yeah, I think that's just gay. Like
Yeah,
I just
that's like a funny thing. Like it's funny because I'm attacking the trolls, but unironically, I'm the stronger troll here.
Well, no,
right? I'm the more dangerous troll here.
You do realize,
right?
If you ban a troll, they just take that as a win, right? Like that's a W. That's not.
That's a defense. That's a defense mechanism. People say that so that they can pretend like they won, but like if you're banned, you're gone, right?
Dude, I love, like, you know, that's why I have 20 accounts. Is I'll just cycle through accounts like when targeting a specific person, and they'll ban me, and I'll force them to ban multiple accounts left and right because I think it's funny. Like,
sure, but then they never have to hear from you again, right? Like then they do a couple
until
bans,
I can make infinite accounts. Like that's the point. Like I can always.
Most people don't do that though.
If I trigger you to the point you have to ban me, that's fucking hilarious. Like that's funny. Like I don't know. Like
I mean, okay. I mean, at that point, I would just argue that I would just go harder, right? I would be like, okay, how do I dox this guy? Like what I'm saying is like,
why would you dox a chatter? Wait, why?
Fuck them. No, because they deserve it. No. Here's the thing.
What the fuck?
No. Let me explain here. So, because I went over this in my video, people think that I'm like this. I'm like this nice person, like who's not able to defend myself. I'm almost arguing that, like, talk shit. I'm arguing you fight back with, like, bigger weapons, right? If somebody comes after you, you go after them harder, more dangerously, to cause them harm, right? That's very explicitly what I'm advocating for.
Yeah, that's certainly a take. That's very, very hinged behavior, bro. Anyway, we got one last clip. Just one more.
But more than just talking about these systemic effects and whether it's right or wrong for certain actions, I find that people in these communities often have a disgusting sense of entitlement that makes their actions even worse. A funny example of entitlement that wasn't directly related to TOS was when a streamer named Queeman got into a fight with another YouTuber named Nicholas Diorio. These content creators apparently used to be friends-ish until Queeman did some sort of toxic attacks against Diorio. So Diorio decided that he had had enough with this Queeman guy and decided to stop talking with him or interacting with him at all. And so him walking away was apparently some huge drama. It was a major fox po for Diorio to simply not like a person and no longer want to interact with them. This guy Queeman was so allergic to consequences to his actions, so entitled to his constant attacks against everybody else, that was the drama. The fact that somebody of their own accord just decided that you are a horrible person and that they don't want to interact with you. It's just an absurd levels of entitlement.
I mean, that is Queeman, but aside from all of that, I want to point out, though, that doesn't mean that Queeman or any of the other people you have talked about in this video somehow deserve to be mass flagged. At the end of the day, Queeman may not like me too much, and I may not like him all that well myself. But ultimately, I will defend his right to say what he wants, when he wants, in whichever way he chooses to say those things that he wants to say, regardless of how annoying or entitled he may be. And he is. I would never, in any way, shape, or form, promote him being mass flagged. The bottom line is snarkers are more of a benefit to the platform than not. Without them, all of the big YouTubers on the platform would be able to do whatever the fuck they wanted without any pushback of any kind. And that is a reality I don't want to see. It's bad enough we got people like the Quartering calling up YouTube reps, allegedly, and taking down entire channels making fun of them. So, the bottom line is simply this. None of what this guy said, in any way, shape, or form, justifies his desire to mass flag anyone. And without further ado, here is the full debate between Stale2000 and myself. Enjoy. What do you believe the purpose of the TOS is on YouTube?
The purpose is, I mean, so I think of it as like a more high level thing where you have what do you want, what content do you want on the platform, and what are rules that, if they exist, like encourage good behavior. Other people, I think, are very binary about the rules. They think like, okay, it's exactly this one thing that needs to be gone or whatever. I don't really care about any of that. I care about just like looking at the platform as a whole. What is the overarching effect of the rules on that, on what people do?
Okay, so I guess the better way to ask, what do you think Google's intent with the TOS is the better question to ask.
Sure. Couples. So one, there's legal liability. That can be very binary. Two, I would say it's for advertiser revenue, to like make sure there's not like bad publicity that then harms ads. As well as just like general bad PR. Like if you have like really bad stuff, even if it's not illegal, you know, it can make your platform bad.
Right.
Or, you know, it just makes the content on it worse. So I mean, it's all bad. It's ads, but also just making the content better.
So would you agree with the statement that YouTube's TOS is not because they want a morally righteous platform, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's not about morals, no.
Okay. I just wanted to get that out of the way first, because there was some like debate over, like, both you and Fauci were like talking over each other in this one particular area a lot, so or past each other rather. I guess my second question would be, what percentage of the user base do you think is actually, which includes both chatters, commenters, streamers, video essayists, etc., basically any user on YouTube, what percentage would you guess has actually bothered to sit down and read the TOS?
We'll say like maybe 1%, if that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's optimistic, honestly.
Right. Yeah. I'm asking, a lot of these questions seem kind of dumb, but these are primarily sanity questions. So, third question would be, when a video is flagged down, do you think it's appropriate for AI to be reviewing the appeal?
If it works, then yes.
What about in the current state of YouTube?
Honestly, yeah, I think it mostly does work as it is.
Now,
I know
I'm gonna make a clarifying point here. I don't mean AI reviews like or how AI does it, like, or how do I word this? I don't mean like the processing feature and how AI determines whether or not a video is taken down. I mean the appeals process. So after a video is already removed and you click the appeal button and you're supposed to have a human review, would you be opposed to them, say, hypothetically, not using a human and instead using AI?
For the obvious, I mean, you could have it run on the obvious cases, and then there could be edge cases or something that are maybe human reviewed. I don't think you have to do a human review on everything. There can be very obvious cases where like AI will work, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. What percentage of videos that have been removed for TOS violations would you guess were legitimately in violation?
Like a high percentage, like we're talking like 95, 98% or something.
Okay.
Like,
and what about,
like, that's just like removals? Yeah.
Okay. Now what about post review?
Post review?
Yes.
Like like after, like how many times are things overturned is basically what you're saying?
No. So the question is, all these videos get taken down, right?
Sure.
X number of videos get taken down. Of those videos that get taken down, X amount are reviewed. Of the ones that are reviewed against the creator, how many of those would you say were legitimate refusal to appeal?
I would say that still probably the majority. I would say,
Okay.
like probably some. These are still guesses, but like yeah, I would say probably the overwhelming majority. Yes.
Okay. And I guess my very last question would be, before we get into where I disagree, what do you think the main motivation would be for somebody to flag a video?
I mean, probably at least half are legitimately because they see like a rule break, but I mean, I would say a strong plurality might just be because somebody doesn't like the creator. We'll say that's like 30% or something. We'll say 70% it's because they think somebody broke the rules, and 30% it's a pretext.
Okay. So, all right, got it. Okay, so I guess what I would have to say right out the gate is that where where we're going to immediately disagree, because we agree on some of this. So I agree with YouTube's reasons why they have the TOS in the first place. And I agree that the amount of people that have read the TOS is almost zero, or probably closer to zero than it is to 10%. And my question, though, here would be, if the majority have not read the TOS, the overwhelming majority haven't read the TOS, and those are the people responsible for mass flagging, right? How can you trust that the 50% that are doing so legitimately, not just because they hate somebody, but because they legitimately believe a TOS rule is broken, how can you trust their judgment if none of them have read TOS at all? Why would you promote people who haven't even read the TOS to mass flag people?
Sure, because it shouldn't matter if they don't know the rules or aren't doing it in good faith, because a flagging purpose is to get it in front of the YouTube report system that then does its own evaluation. So you can't evaluate everything, and so maybe you want to flag stuff so that it gets the Eye of Sauron is on it, right? And then is actually doing kind of a check. And so that's why it's because it's still it's YouTube's system that is determining the ban, that's doing the evaluation, and that shouldn't really matter that much if it's like how many people are flagging it.
Well, to be very clear up front, just so you know, 75% of all videos flagged down and removed are done before they're done automated and before a view is even seen, before the video is even seen. That's like the majority of cases. So, and so the problem that I have with this is that the AI that YouTube has is what's responsible for determining whether or not something was in violation of TOS. The fundamental problem with that is AI, for lack of a better word, is deeply autistic. So in other words, it's not going to take things like nuance into the equation, as much as I hate that word. It's not going to take, like, so for example, if I was doing a video on the history of the N-word, right? The robot isn't necessarily going to take into account that it's an educational video as to why I'm spewing slurs throughout the video. I've had this happen. Many people have had this happen where it's the mere use of the word, despite it being an exception. And according to their own rules, that if it's for educational purposes, etc., that YouTube will allow exceptions for that. And the problem is that I don't know if you've ever had a community guideline strike before, but in the past, whenever you would sign an appeal, you could make your case. You could go like, well, this was an exception to this rule specifically cited in this section of the TOS, blah, 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 and even link it. You can't do that anymore. You press the appeal button, and then you just leave it up to presumably a human. And well, the problem with that is it human? Well, we don't even know that much. So in other words, like what I'm getting at is, to me, allowing a bunch of people to go in, promoting a bunch of people to go in and flag stuff, and then just leaving it up to the Eye of Sauron or an AI, presumably, it seems insane, especially when the appeals process is completely broken. Less than 25% of the appeals that are made actually get approved, by the way. So it's yeah. And this is like a fundamental issue I have, and where we're going to disagree is that I don't believe, I find it astronomically insane to believe that of the hundreds of thousands of videos taken down in a quarter, that the overwhelming majority of those videos that were set to be appealed were in violation, to the extreme that only 25% get approved and reinstated. Like, I think that's crazy.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to respond to this. So a couple things. So summarizing what I think you're saying, or I'll rephrase it. There's this gray area that, where, I guess you called it nuance. I would call it a gray area, where,
Sure.
A bunch of people are in this gray area, and the system is imperfect for determining if the person broke that, like where on the gray area they are. Therefore, you shouldn't even send it to that system in the first place.
I'm saying you shouldn't encourage somebody to do that. Yes. Especially somebody who hasn't even read the TOS.
Sure. So I'll even just accept. Okay. So first of all, I'm not even sure, like a human, I'm not even sure like the reporters, the people reporting the stuff, would ever even understand what the right thing is in the first place. So even if you have the perfect reporter, like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they're like a better. I don't think like, okay, having only the perfect reporters report things really makes it much better.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm anti-reporting, period. I think the entire flag function should be completely removed. So, like, make that very clear.
Okay.
So, I'm more willing to agree with you on letting the AI bots do the automated flagging and everything and leaving people out of it, because I don't think people at all are responsible enough to, or intelligent enough to even justify flagging anything.
Sure. So let me rephrase. So I'll even concede that, like, yeah, there's this clear gray area where if you're in it, you're not really sure what's going to happen. You might get banned, you might get not. My argument is almost that you shouldn't even be there. Also, like, I want people to not be in that gray area.
Well, that's impossible, actually. It's actually impossible. So the reason I say that is, yeah, sure, you could make content about flowers and not be within the gray area, right? You could, but the problem that you're going to run into is if you talk about anything remotely controversial, the topic alone puts you in the gray area. Like politics puts you in the gray area, like automatically. You're going to go over subject matter that you have to go over. Like how do you discuss things like, for example, the ICE shootings and not automatically be in the gray area by default, right?
Like, so I would say that stuff's not in the gray area. Like the example that you gave was somebody saying the N-word.
Well, right. Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, but even the example I gave, though, was for educational purposes, which is an allowed exception on YouTube, by the way. On, like,
it is allowed, but you, like, you should know that you might get got anyway.
I mean, maybe. It depends. If you're making a documentary on the history or etymology of a word, like, I think that's fine. Like, I don't know. I don't have an issue with that. And I think that would, yes, be in the gray area, but at the same time, you could make the argument that it was for educational purposes.
I'm just not really that worried about protecting that specific gray area. So, like, to go back to your other point about politics, you're right. If a bunch of people were getting like destroyed for talking about politics, I would agree, but they're not. Like, it's usually somebody goes pretty far over the line. I mean, so I'll give an example.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it depends, actually. So I'm going to give it very specific examples here, actually. So if you are somebody of my size, like, you know, a few thousand subscribers, you know, stuff like that, and you say something really edgy and stupid about, let's say, that shooting or a shooting, doesn't matter what shooting. Yeah, I'm probably going to get my PP slapped. However, on the other side of the coin, if I was like Vosh, where I say Glass Israel on stream on multiple platforms at once, YouTube, Twitch, at the same time, there's a reason that Twitch threw a fit, but YouTube didn't. And no, it's not political alignment. I'm not going to go like that weird, there's political bias, because I actually don't think there's much political bias on YouTube, believe it or not. I think people get too caught in. I think people get too in the weeds there. I think it was actually just he's a moneymaker. You know, look at the sheer amount of how many times do you think PewDiePie was mass flagged?
Yeah, probably a lot.
And we never got taken down, and you had almost no videos taken down. So, in other words, my main issue with all of this is that what you're talking about, the bigger YouTubers are completely immune, or almost completely immune to.
Sure. So what you're describing is the false negative, right? So the false negative is somebody deserved to be banned, but they didn't. I'm not talking about the false negatives. I'm talking about the false positives, right? So, like, what are the times when somebody did get banned when they should not have?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the smaller people are the only people that are gonna be unjustly flagged down successfully, because YouTube isn't going to care about people that don't make them money.
Is that an even, like, let's flip it around. Why is that an unjust ban? Maybe it is just, but other people got away with it. Like there's a difference between somebody getting away with breaking the rules versus you got banned unfairly. Right, like, because you described it as like an edgy comment. You said,
so So what I'm
sounds like it's against the rules to me.
What I'm getting at is both sides would be against the rules. However, if one person gets banned for the same rule that another person didn't get banned for, and they both broke the exact same rule.
Yeah, so that's a false negative.
In my
false positive.
What I would view that as is YouTube set a precedent with one and not the other. So, like, what I'm getting at is what you're promoting only negatively impacts. So YouTube is harsher on its enforcement of smaller YouTubers. That's my point.
Sure. Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah. But you're still saying that you're still giving an example of somebody like trying to take advantage of this gray area, right? Like, why? Is that necessary?
Okay. To be very clear, do you think that people? I mean, there are people that do this, but how many people do you think like are in the gray area on purpose? Right.
So I would say that we'll say even like the majority of people, we'll like say most of the bans are probably accidental, but it doesn't happen that often. So I am of the opinion that the people who actually get like super punished deserve it. But like, I'll even just say, like, sure, I could even concede, even though I'm not sure if that's true, that like a lot of bans are quote unquote like unfair, but you know, it doesn't happen to you enough if you're not like effing around, right?
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say, but the problem is that have you read the TOS or looked at it? If you go and you look at the TOS is extremely broad. And how and so the point is I think it's actually, and this is back to my point, is that it's impossible to be perfectly within the TOS unless you make the safest content about the safest topics humanly imaginable, right? Like, anytime you talk about any topics that are in any way remotely controversial, like, you're automatically opening yourself up to the whims of how the AI wants to interpret the TOS that day. And that's like the fundamental issue. And on top of that, you open yourself up to being disproportionately enforced against compared to bigger YouTubers. The quartering should have been banned off the platform forever ago for a host of things, and he consistently gets away with it. So my issue with all of this is just, I think it's impossible for me to not, as you put it, fuck around when talking about any remotely controversial topic whatsoever. I am up to the whims of others.
Because the examples you keep giving are things that I like wouldn't want people to do, right? Like you described an example of people getting away with, making a joke about the shooting. Like this isn't like you just talking about it. This isn't like I'm not sure I'm seeing these army of people who are getting destroyed because they're just like talking about politics.
Well, the problem is most of them are small anyway, so you wouldn't. Like that's kind of the point, right? The bigger people that do make jokes about that stuff, like Hassan Piker, who says insane shit about a multitude of these kind of events, like about like Charlie Kirk and laughing about him getting killed, right? Like you see like he completely gets away with it, but the smaller creators you've never heard of, they don't. And you're not going to see an army of these people because you wouldn't know.
But the question is like, how would I verify that? Right? Because you're basically saying, yeah, there's all these bans, but like by the nature of the bans, you're never going to know about it. Right?
I mean,
how would I? Yeah, because the examples. I mean, so the viral examples I'm seeing. I guess my main point is like, because I see people complain about bans all the time, and it's always people that you would exactly expect to get banned, right? Like at no point are you ever surprised that like Chud Logic got banned. Like,
but if you look into those people, okay, first off, the Chud Logic thing, like I didn't think he did anything that was that bad. What he wrote wasn't that bad. It wasn't even in the gray area. It was pretty lame. So like I'm confused about that, completely. The like I don't understand how that thing worked at all. But the issue that I'm having here is that what it sounds like you're promoting is like really, really ultra safe content out of fear of being removed.
It's not. No. I'm my argument is that it's only people who very clearly know like that they might get banned that are getting banned. And I don't think, and my argument is I don't think that there is these army of people getting banned for just regularly talking about politics. It's always somebody towing the line. And so I could, and I guess the way that I would be convinced is if I find all of these people, I guess there's almost like no way of knowing it because it would be, they're not getting mass flagged anyway. They're like hypothetically could be banned, but they're not.
Well, my issue is that, so I can give like a small example. A long time ago, I made a video montage making fun of Vosh. And I lumped together a montage of him promoting shit like CP and stuff back in the day, right? I don't know if you saw any of those old clips. They get really insane. Like he says stuff like, if you get your child porn for free, then there's no reason to ban it and stuff like that. It's just like literally insane stuff. And I made this montage and YouTube took down my video and gave me a community guideline strike for promoting child abuse.
Okay.
But I'm not promoting child abuse. It's a montage of somebody else talking. Right? But and this is a consistent issue.
But is anybody surprised at that?
I am, because those streams that I got those from are still up. I got them from his channel. They're still there. And there's multiple other channels with those clips, but I'm the one that got dinged.
But it sounds pretty risky to me. Like you've just described something that I would not do.
I mean, yeah, like but I mean, it might be risky, but it was risky for him to do it in the first place. And so if he got away with it, why shouldn't I get away with it? Right? Why does a TOS attack me but not him?
Because so imagine, okay, how about this? Let's say the rules were, let's say you had a perfect rule system. It was perfect, but every time you break the rules, they flip a coin, and if it's heads, you're banned, and if it's tails, they're not. Like, are the rules hard to follow in that case?
No.
No, they're not. But like, it's still some people getting away with it, and some people not. So like that's kind of like, that's the analogy I'm giving right now. Is I'll even say yes. I'll say that, like, if you're past this line, right? We'll just say this is like all rule breaking behavior, and you're just getting away with it. It's just that a lot of people are getting away with stuff that's against the rules, but that's not the same as
because right. I'm not. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I'm getting across is, like, I may have broken the rules, but there was no way for me to know that I broke the rules, because even if I read the TOS, the TOS is very broad. So if I'm going and I'm looking at somebody getting away with that, I'm going, especially a bigger creator, I don't think it's unfair for me to assume that he didn't break the rule, so because he didn't get in trouble. So if he can do it, why can't I? I should be able to. Like, and I think it's a very safe assumption to make.
What's not a safe assumption though, right?
I mean,
like, okay, so I'll agree with that. Maybe the first time, maybe you had never heard about YouTube before, and this is like your first time making videos. But like, would you do that a second time?
No, if
like,
you do it a second time, you're dumb, right? So
yeah,
I mean, obviously, for what's it go? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame, or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, yeah, obviously, I'm not. I didn't do that again. I didn't upload the clip. But the point I'm getting across here, though, is that it feels like disproportionate enforcement of guidelines. And at that point, am I really breaking the rules? Because the rules seem wildly fluid and insane, and they're not applied equally across the board. And so at a certain point, the question is, how can you possibly have a channel that is within the TOS? Because at any point, which even in the TOS, it even says the rules are not complete. So it says they can add whatever they want. How can you comply with rules that are enforced in a very schizophrenic way? Like, it creates a series of issues. And then
do that.
And then this brings up the second question in that. Did I break the rule? Or is it just because it was me and not Vosh? Right? That's another question that's going to come up in that when that happens to you. What I'm getting at is that it's impossible to really know if you're actually staying within the guidelines unless all you do is make videos on flowers and cupcakes.
Okay, but you keep giving examples that are not like normal things to talk about. like you don't have, like, the examples you're giving is talking about somebody's CP conversations.
I mean, I think you should be able to talk about whatever you want, right? Like, I think that's fine.
But it's still that's fine. But you can have that opinion, but you still shouldn't be surprised anymore. Like, that still sounds like a very, especially, if somebody got banned for that once, like now that you know this is how YouTube works, I feel like that just means that, like, just don't get in this narrow. I think it's a pretty narrow set of stuff that you shouldn't do, and you're safe otherwise.
Yeah, like, I understand that, but so I don't know if you know this. I have gotten lots of community strikes over the years. I have accidentally bumped into every single possible rule on accident because I didn't read the TOS. So
how are you doing this? Wait, okay. What are the other cases? I want to know what every case is.
Okay, so once I linked a Google Drive link in the description of one of my videos, and it led to evidence of somebody having shared, shall we say, a very fucked up image of a dolphin and a horse, right? And because it had that image in there, somebody clicked it in the description, then reported the specific link in the description, which I never knew was a thing. I didn't know you could do that. So that was news to me. Completely slipped my mind. I was like, why would they do that? Right. Or another thing that happened once is I made a meme about, like, a 9/11 meme. And it was making fun of the younger generation that like, in my viewpoint, I find it frustrating when Zoomers go like, remember 9/11, and it's like, how can you remember it when you weren't even alive? Right. And so I was kind of making fun of that with a meme while simultaneously making fun of the virtue signal of 9/11 remembrance. And so what it was the video was called Never Forget. And whenever the plane hit the tower, confetti blew everywhere. And then it had a the Halo, the Halo, yay, sound effect with a kazoo. And it said happy anniversary. And this was on
that is a pretty funny video.
Yeah, yeah,
Sounds
and,
like it's funny.
yeah, and YouTube said I was promoting terrorism. So
okay, that one is a little BS.
Yeah, and that got me, by the way, demonetized for years. So like, I'm just saying that the point I'm getting across here is like, how can I stay within the guidelines when the guidelines are entirely schizophrenic? That's a fundamental issue that I have. And the enforcement is even more schizophrenic. I'm not even getting into the fact that a large YouTuber can just call a rep and have your channel taken down.
Wait, what do you mean?
Have you been following the quartering stuff? Because that's literally what just happened recently. The quartering called a YouTube rep and then had an entire YouTube channel removed.
Okay, what did the other channel do?
Made fun of him for being so basically, have you followed the quartering drama at all?
I just know he's like a right-wing YouTuber.
Okay.
I barely know.
So okay, he's recently decided he's a Christian, and only recently decided to be MAGA, right? Because for years he used to say he was like a centrist or whatever. And then what ended up happening was people found out that he appears to be a swinger, and which is kind of contradicting of the prior two statements a bit, especially when he makes fun of swingers, and they accused him of cheating on his wife, if not him being a swinger. They accused him of being kind of creepy around women and stuff like that, right? These are things that are pretty basic. They weren't like saying any names. They didn't call him a pedophile. They didn't do any of that. And they made fun of him. They took the piss out of him. He crashed out and went online and said he was going to call his YouTube rep and have their channel taken down. And that's what happened the next day.
Well, yeah, you probably reported the person for harassment or something, right?
No, actually. So what's funny is that the channel had recently gotten taken down and then brought back. So YouTube reinstated the channel before this drama. And so the quartering contacted the rep and said it was ban evasion. They were evading a ban, even though their channel was reinstated.
Okay, so did this guy have a bunch of bans before? Like how were they down before?
No, it was, dude, the guy hasn't even uploaded to that channel in years. That was the fun. It was Andy Worski's channel. This is the whole thing.
I don't know who that is. Andy Warhouse. I mean, my guess is probably what happened is that they reported him for harassment or something, and then
no, it was ban evasion. This was the whole statement. The point I'm getting across here is if you look into it, it's very interesting because this is what bigger YouTubers can do. They can monopolize the platform pretty easily. And here's the thing.
Okay, so what do you think YouTube was thinking then? Right? So because these ideas aren't new to the company, right? Like they probably know that there are false positives and false negatives. What would go through their head?
So I don't think it was. No, I think the YouTube rep, was probably offended by the content. You know, like I think that might have had a part to play in it, and probably sided with Jeremy because if I were Jeremy, for example, and I wanted to ensure the channel was removed, I could maximize victim status of the video. It'd be pretty easy to do, right? And I'm going to be very blunt. I imagine the majority of the people that exist at youtube.com are probably soft. So, you know, I don't think it would have been that hard. I think that you would make the argument that the Worski content in question, the stream in question that we're talking about, very well may have been in that gray area you're discussing. But at the same time, though, if you're taking down a video for community reasons, for TOS reasons, there's a 3-strike system that was completely bypassed.
Okay.
He had
Was it,
no
like,
strikes. Just gone.
this seems like a rare case, is what I'm saying. I don't think like they probably follow the 3-strike system most of the time. I mean, so it's because I don't know anything about this situation, so I can't like argue against it. But I mean, my guess is it could have been a harassment kind of a thing.
I mean,
Like-
I think
like, the
that
person
might have
still
had a place in it. But then my question is, what constitutes harassment, right? Like, so how do you see, like, because you can argue that any response video could be considered harassment.
I mean, I think it's just you just got to be careful about it. I mean, you can do. I just maybe just don't. Here's the thing: like if everybody was like not necessarily doing things off the cuff, if people were thinking about what they were saying and trying to be more reasonable, neutral, I would almost say that's a good thing, right? So like, but there are ways of doing response videos. I guess you could argue this is a little bit more boring, but
there's a lot of
you're not, like,
issues
over
with
the top.
it. Yeah, there's a lot of issues with that. Number one, that's not entertaining. So yeah, like it's more boring. But that's not the problem I had with it. It's total. I would argue like soy compliance to a schizophrenic set of rules. So like and there's no guarantee that it would even work. And that's kind of like the problem I have.
I mean, it affects the chances of it. Like, I'm just saying, like, the
Sure.
people that I just see get banned all the time they're not the people being careful. Or, like, they're the people who are like some of the most over the top creators out there.
Because like the thing is,
And it's
you're
always
saying,
them.
well, you're saying gray area, right? Gray area means it goes both ways, right? It could also be not bad. And so the problem is it seems like you're saying that if you're in the gray area, you kind of just deserve to be banned. But I would say not necessarily.
I'm saying looking at somebody's content holistically, it's just never a surprise to me. It's always these are the most, like, for some reason, it's always the most outrageous people who are the ones getting banned, and it's almost never the more reasonable ones, right? And so like that's the pattern that I can't get out of my head is why is it that the people who are acting good are safe, and why is it the people who are really not acting very good, in my opinion, are always getting banned? It's like, well, probably because they deserve it.
I mean, not necessarily, but okay. Like, I don't think being edgy and being in the gray area is necessarily deserving. I think that if you're outright violating the rules, right? Like in a very like in your face way, like if I'm going around calling everybody slurs in my video, right? I would say that's an outright violation of the terms of service, and that's fine, right? But if I'm just being making a joke or being an edgy boy or something, right? And not really violating, I'm like skirting the TOS basically. Riding the edge. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think that saying I
was about to make a joke about this because you just got it. So almost by definition, being edgy means that you're on the edge.
Yes.
Of the line.
Right. Yes.
And so,
but that's not a violation of the line. It's one step away from the line.
Sure, but why are you getting one step away from the line?
Because it's entertaining.
Sure. Yes. So
like,
okay, you're right. So that is the actual reason, but that is a risk. Like, so I'm saying, like, yes, there are benefits to being one step away from the line. It's you have more outrageous and sometimes more interesting content, and there are also downsides that come with that. So it's not really like you're basically saying that you want this benefit of getting right there, but I'm almost saying like that there's a lot of downsides to that as well that I don't like, right? It's not just like making a joke. It's like these. I just feel like the people getting targeted are always these like creators that like I almost think like should have been banned like years ago, right?
Well, the thing is that I'm getting across here is I think riding the line should be seen as fine as long as you're not going over the line, but YouTube doesn't really care if you're writing the line, going over the line, they're gonna ban you for things regardless if they feel like it may violate the terms of service.
It's because you're close to the line. Yeah, it's because they have an imperfect system. It fails some of the time, but like it's still mostly the people who almost deserve it.
I don't think the majority of these people deserve it. Like, I don't think, for example, Chud Logic deserved it. See, like, okay, I have a question. I have a question, actually.
I hate to keep picking on him, but I guess he's just like the best example. I don't have anything really against the guy. It's just he's a great example. I was talking to somebody, and he was saying how this guy like optimizes which slurs he says on which platforms, and it's like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing this? It blows my mind.
Okay,
like,
okay. To be fair,
so what,
if that's
bothers
true,
me about him,
that's kind of cringe. But yeah.
So yeah, it's not even like that the slurs bother me. It's that it bothers me that somebody thinks that they can get away with it, right? So if it was if it was banned to eat bananas on stream, and then somebody was like, okay, this is a great example, right? Like, take a really silly rule, like hopping on one foot, right? And like hopping on one foot gets you permabanned on some platforms.
Yeah.
I would be very offended at people who do that, because like, you're just an idiot. Like what are you doing? Like, that this is the rule. Don't hop on one foot or you get permabanned.
But how would you feel if a bigger YouTuber was hopping on one foot as a career move and YouTube never dinged them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be bad, but it's a different kind of bad to like people doing it anyway, right? People thinking that they can get away with it.
Well, most people think they can get away with stuff like that because other people get away with it. So that's kind of the point, right?
So I'll agree that if it's like arbitrary rules, so let's say it's like completely random rules that nobody knows about. Like, I'll even take like your Google Doc example, right? Like, I would not even have thought that, like, okay, if you post a Google Doc and there's like a link somewhere down in it, you could get banned, right? That's pretty surprising to me. I'll agree that stuff is like kind of bad to, like, especially for like serious consequences. So, okay, let me give you a compromise here. Okay, so my compromise position is, I wish people were banned more often for like less amount of time, right? So like I wish these like bans would fly, right? Like, you could get a 1-day ban for almost anything, and the reason why is because that's like a frequent feedback thing, right? So like you're right, it does suck when like you don't know what the rule is, and then like you get like a year-long ban, you get demonetized or something, you lose millions of dollars. That really sucks. And so like, how do you solve that? Like, as your answer is, well, just don't report people ever. My answer is almost like you do it more, but you have the consequences that are less, so that you're not nuked, but everybody understands what the rule is.
Well, the fundamental issue that I have with mass flagging, okay, this is the real core of my issue, is that whenever you promote mass flagging in the way that you're promoting it, what you're actually doing is promoting the abolishing of smaller channels. So, like, for example, you seem to have issues with snark channels in your video, right? And you cited
a bit of a catch-all,
yeah, and you specify people like Queeman, Just Ilk, etc. And
or the best example is the Purple Perry guy, right? So I don't want to. He's probably the worst.
Now, unfortunately, I have to defend some of these people. They're not big fans of me, so whatever. But but the point is, though, is that as much as there may be mutual animosity there, I will say that having snarkers is actually important to the platform. In fact, I think it's actually deeply important to the platform. And the reason why it's important to the platform is because if you punish snarking in the way that you're implying, because they're gray or edgy or whatever, if you get rid of them, or you punish them too heavily, what you're actually doing is ensuring that there is no pushback whenever larger channels do stupid crap, right? And so that's like the fundamental issue that I have, is because who are going to hold these larger channels to account at all, if not for people that hate those channels, snarkers? You know, and
Sure,
that's
so,
the fundamental issue I have.
but there's another outcome, right? So the other outcome is, what if they do this pushback, but it's more reasonable? Like it's more like intentional, well thought out, less bombastic, and yeah, I guess a bit more boring. Is that so bad?
Yes, because by making it more boring, you actually get less of an audience because it's less entertaining, and therefore less people hear about the fucked up shenanigans of, say, Destiny, for example. So, and that's like the fundamental problem. And given the fact that
I'll
they're
even say that.
Oh,
So I'll even say, like, sure, like if let's assume that the criticism is like real and like justified, like yeah, being more bombastic gets more views. Like I'm not gonna say like that is a benefit. I'll agree that that's a benefit. It's just the examples that I'm seeing are like people engaging in what I would almost call is like illegal defamation, right? So the example that I'll give is like the Purple Parry guy. I consider that person to have engaged in like illegal defamation, right? To the point where he should have been sued. And so like that's what I'm saying. It's like this is like forget about like the YouTube PS. That guy should have been like
well,
civilly
at the point you're breaking civil law, sure. Like that's
yeah.
like, first of all, to make this very clear, I'm not promoting that people be edgy to the point of breaking the law, right? Whether that be civil or legal or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I
feel like a lot of people do cross that line. Even it's so normalized, but I think people cross that line a lot. So less so. I mean, I don't know about the streamers, but definitely the audiences do this, right? Like, honestly, it's the biggest problem I have with some of these people is the creators can sometimes be smarter and more reasonable. It's just that their audiences are like psychotic, and they're like just okay with that. And so I don't know how to solve this problem of these like absolute like I'll even just say like sure, like maybe these guys are following the rules, but they're doing something that's causing some insane community to rise.
So we're gonna totally disagree on this for a couple reasons.
Sure.
One is, and you're gonna hate the answer. Welcome to the internet. You have a bunch of anonymous people that are joining the internet, and you're gonna have psychotic chatters. That's just the reality of being on any of these platforms. And unfortunately, when you're talking about drama in any context, well, what do you think drama attracts, right? It's going to attract drama-minded people, which are often the most toxic people that exist. And as one of my chatters just said, well, we're chatters, you can just ignore us. And that's kind of the point, right? Like most of these streamers completely ignore their chatters. Most of these streamers, actually, to be blunt with you, most of them hate their chatters.
Yeah.
Or they don't like them at all. They ignore them. They'll be like they don't matter, you know, like stuff like that. I'm not a fan of that. Like I'm very big on, you know, I mean, I ignore my chatters a lot, to be fair. But but what I'm saying is like I'm not the type of person to be like my chat is stupid, my chat is dumb. I don't do anything like that. In fact, I'd like to think that the majority of the people that watch my content are not dumb. So, but the sad reality of the platform is you're going to have people like that, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But there is, so that's my central point, is there is stuff you can do about it. Like, so I'll agree that this is how the internet is. That's why I'm talking about it. It's a problem. It exists. How do you fix it?
You can't.
I think you can. So I think you can. And so I'll even say, like, even I'm like a little bit hesitant on like reporting creators, because it's like when you're doing that, you're almost like going. I don't like it that you're going after their income. It's like it can be like a very harsh punishment to go after somebody's income like that. But I have absolutely no problem of like doing reports on like random chatters. I do this like all the time, right? And I like try to get people banned because because you're not like screwing over somebody's business here, right? You're just getting a TOS strike on somebody's like Reddit account or something. Like what I'm saying is, like, if you do more moderation, if more people just report people all the time, like forget about the content creators, like just random chatters, I think these people do go away.
But then
like they just get banned off of platforms eventually.
But then you are ultimately affecting your own income. Then you're cutting your nose to spite your face. Like that's one of the fundamental issues, right?
It hurts the content creator a bit more to like have less crazies, but
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it's better for the like now they're like profiting
But
off of
but
having
also,
horrible audiences.
yeah, but those
Like
same
I don't think it's
chatters are
moral. I don't think
just
it's
gonna.
right.
Well, I don't care about the morals of it, but the thing
Yeah.
is that the chatters are just gonna go to somewhere else. So you're not getting rid of the chatters, right? And these
I
are
think you do.
anon accounts. They can just make a new account. Do you have any idea how many YouTube accounts I have? I have I have like 20 something, right? So like you they can just make a new account and show up in the same chat or a different chat. Like you're not actually getting rid of the crazies. You're just kind of closing your eyes to them in your presence.
There's ban evasion filters and IP bans on many platforms.
IP
Like
bans
I
are
agree.
literally useless. The word
It
VPN.
gets a lot of people.
VPN, like that's it.
Most people don't have a VPN.
Yeah, but the crazies do. You know, like I mean,
More of them do, sure, but I
yeah.
don't. I still think that you get, like you're right that you can't ever permanently solve the issue, but I think that you can. I think that when a lot of these people exist, it causes other people to be crazier than they otherwise would. Like I see otherwise normal people losing it because they're in the wrong communities. Even I've lost it because I've been in the wrong communities.
So I'm going to meet you in the middle. I don't think the issue is YouTube chatters.
Mhm.
I think, and I've done this, other people have done this, is whenever you put yourself, like, actually Discord is a much better example of your point. Whenever you put yourself in a community of a bunch of drama tards and they're all, you know, there and they're reinforcing the most negative characteristics of not only your community, but you as a person. And you get like a kind of symbiotic, codependent relationship between you and random chatters. That can easily make you go insane, become more toxic, make you think you're invincible and do really stupid crap you wouldn't normally do, right? I think this is more of an issue on platforms like Discord, perhaps even Reddit, maybe a little bit, but on YouTube
Some
with
Reddits
random,
yeah,
but with random chatters and stuff, I don't think so. I think that chatters are primarily ignored by streamers. So the impact doesn't really happen the same way.
Yeah, I'll agree because I think that YouTube is not really YouTube chatters are not a community. That's like not a like I don't even know who types in YouTube chat. It's like it's not a community. But yeah, it's different. Like I think that does say something though that like I think that there is more moderation on YouTube than there is in Discord. I think that if you say the wrong thing in the YouTube chat, the AI is going to hit you.
Yeah.
But I don't think that hits you in Discord.
Yeah,
So that's why it's worse.
Discord almost entirely relies on user reports more so than or Twitter almost, or Discord does, whereas YouTube is more automated. But yeah, like I know that in my Discord, for example, I heavily moderate my Discord. I've probably banned 200-300 accounts since that Discord's existed. You know, so I very heavily moderate my Discord, and I think that's fine to moderate your Discord. But moderating YouTube chats just seems a little excessive when you could ignore most of those chatters that are the most insane, right? Which happens. Like most of that's ignored. In fact, streamers make fun of other streamers for paying too much attention to specific chatters. It's called getting one guide. Like it's a whole.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So for me, from my vantage point, like I don't see this as an issue on YouTube. You could argue again that YouTubers in other platforms being in a negative feedback loop or whatever might be the fundamental issue, but on YouTube, I don't think this is an issue at all. Period. And I don't necessarily care about all that. And what the only exception being is if YouTubers tell their audience to go do something like Brigade or something, then also maybe. But I'm also in favor of that, by the way. I'm in favor of people saying, go harass the chat of this person. I think it's fine. I don't care. I'm also in favor of weaponizing your Discord audience against other Discords and raiding other Discord servers. So I would be in the toxic category.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same thing, like for report. So like we could even say like sure, like getting getting creator banned is a very harsh punishment. But like, what if you went after the chatter or like the just random fans? So like a lot of these random fans, they think they're so invulnerable They think like, okay, I'm just this random person, and then they get really mad when like 10% of what they push out like gets hit back on them. And
I just wouldn't go after a chatter. I think that's weird.
well, like, would you think that's like wrong? Like, why? Why do they get to be invincible? Like,
It's
safe?
not that they're invincible and safe. They're just irrelevant, generally speaking. Like they don't really do anything. Like they're just there in a chat. Like they're peanuts. I don't know. I just don't take them very seriously unless they're like doxing or something like something actually serious. Like, but yeah, if they're just saying insane shit, like, I don't know, calling somebody I'm talking to a pedophile or something, like I'll just ignore them. I don't really care. They're anons. Like going after an anonymous person is unhinged, I think, because especially since they can just
sometimes
come
they're
back.
not anonymous. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they're not anonymous, and then you could go after them that way. Like I'm almost like arguing for it's funny because in like a weird way, I'm almost ironically arguing for more harassment, but I'm arguing like to harass people for a good cause, right? I right.
I don't think mass flagging is harassment. I just think that's.
Is it like worse than harassment or like what?
I do think that. Yeah, I think that's just gay. Like
yeah,
I just
that's like a funny thing. Like it's funny because I'm attacking the trolls, but unironically, I'm the stronger troll here.
Well, no,
right? I'm the more dangerous troll here.
You do realize,
right?
If you ban a troll, they just take that as a win, right? Like that's a W. That's not.
That's a defense. That's a defense mechanism. People say that so that they can pretend like they won. But like, if you're banned, you're gone, right?
Dude, I love that's why I have 20 accounts. Is I'll just cycle through accounts like when targeting a specific person, and they'll ban me, and I'll force them to ban multiple accounts left and right because I think it's funny.
Sure, but then they never have to hear from you again, right? Like then they do a couple
until
bans,
I can make infinite accounts. Like that's the point. Like I can always.
Most people don't do that though.
If I trigger you to the point you have to ban me, that's fucking hilarious. Like that's funny. Like I don't know. Like
I mean, okay. I mean at that point I would just argue that I would just go harder, right? I would be like, okay, how do I dox this guy? Like what I'm saying is like,
why would you dox a chatter? Wait, why?
Fuck them. No, because they deserve it. No. Here's the thing.
What the fuck?
No. Let me explain here. So, because I went over this in my video, people think that I'm like this. I'm like this nice person, like who's not able to defend myself. I'm almost arguing that talk shit. I'm arguing you fight back with like bigger weapons, right? If somebody comes after you, you go after them harder, more dangerously to cause them harm, right? That's very explicitly what I'm advocating for, because like.
Wait.
Because I think the internet matters. All these other people, like they're doing all their nonsense, and they're thinking that it doesn't matter. I do think it matters. I do think that, and that's why I want to try to stop it by going after these people.
But the internet doesn't matter. You can unplug your computer and it all goes away. Like, who cares? Like, it's just the internet.
Yeah, I don't like that though. I disagree with that though.
The moment you bring it into real life like that, you're kind of breaching. How do I put this? You're almost breaching like a social contract on the internet. Like the idea is like, yeah, I should be allowed to harass you incessantly on the internet with no real world consequences whatsoever. Absolutely. And if I bring real world consequences, you should be able to do it back, right? So if I dox you and you dox me back, that's fine. But if I'm just harassing you in the chat and then you get mad and dox me, well, not only is that kind of, in my opinion, unhinged, but that is like the biggest W on earth. Is like, I got doxed for being a chatter. Like that's hilarious.
I think that's a W. I don't.
That is funny.
That's cope. That is the cope.
I went after UT. Have you heard of the UTTP?
No.
They're to make this they're called the YouTube Troll Police, and they're a bunch of literal children hacker LARPers. They're not real hackers. They're just like LARPing and maybe have a few script kiddies here and there. And ultimately, I made a video going after, one of them, and this ultimately resulted in me getting doxxed, right? I thought it was fucking hilarious that I got doxxed. That was fucking funny. Like, it's like I triggered this guy so much. He got so upset that before the release of my video on him, he went out of my way to find my identifying information and posted it to Doxbin. That is the funniest shit ever. That is hilarious. And also, like, what are you gonna do with it? You're gonna come to my house? Like, I don't care. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna call the local police? You know, one of the cops, by the way, the local cops, like, I know most of them because I live in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest town is a town I grew up in, and so, like, it's a small town. So, like, what are you gonna do? It's so the point is,
sure. If you're like immune, right? It can be kind of funny when like a you know, a child is like swinging their fist at you or something, right? Because like, what is a child going to do to you? But
Yeah.
that, I don't think that's most people. Like, so you're right. Like, all these threats that I'm saying of like talking big, talking shit, going after somebody, it doesn't work if you can't actually harm somebody, right? But sure.
yeah, I mean,
But
like,
if
it's
you
not
can, it does
just
work.
that. Like, you can only dox somebody once. Like, once you dox
do a
them
lot- you do-
once, it's kind of
I'm-
game over, right? Like, you can
do a
dox
lot more
them.
than you can do a lot more than doxing, is what I'll tell you. Okay.
Well, I know
I've
you
been
can.
with-
No, I know you can do more than doxing, but what I'm getting at is you can only do the dox. The dox itself only works once.
That's why you keep going harder. You go bigger
Against
you
the
get- you go-
chatter.
you- I mean, if they're talking, look, if they won't stop, look, if somebody goes away, like they F off or forever, fine, don't go after them. But like, if they're still they're still coming after you, I mean, they're just asking for it at that point, right? Like they have. I'm not saying you do this and like destroy somebody's life immediately, but you make the threat, you go after them, you scare them, and then when they run away, you back off too.
I don't know. I feel like I could make the same argument for rape, but then it would suddenly be bad.
Sure. I mean, you don't have to rape somebody. You don't have to kill somebody. But
What
but you
I'm
can-
getting at is, like, I could use the same argument you're using to justify basically anything, right? So, like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it just seems like unhinged to you know, go like, oh, you're a chatter and you're annoying me, you won't go away, so I'm gonna dox you, and if that won't work, I'm gonna swat you, and if that doesn't work, I'm gonna, you know, blah 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 blah. Like, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, bro, it's a chatter. If you just ignore the troll goes away. You can just ignore them. Like, just
or they could just go away.
I have
Like,
I
you
have
can't at least turn
trolls
this around.
in my chat right now that have been sitting there justifying lolicon to trigger me, like, earlier in this stream, because I was like, while I was like waiting, I started the stream at 9:30 and wanted to talk about some other guy before I brought you on, and it was about some guy that was talking about lolicon, and there was this person in the chat justifying lolicon just to attempt to trigger me. And I just ignore them, and they magically disappeared. You know, like, it's not a big deal. You just ignore them.
Yeah, but I think that you're getting to. We've gone over, I think, really the crux of all of these arguments, which is, I think that the internet matters, and it's. I don't know if I'm not gonna be able to debate you out of that, and I think a lot of people don't, and that's why they do all these things.
Can you
is 'cause they
define
think-
what you mean by matters?
I think it's important. Like, I think that we should do good things on the internet and we shouldn't do bad things. And it affects real life. Like, just like your interactions in person matter, just like it's important to not be an asshole in person or to be nice, it also matters online. And people think that there's this separation, and I don't see that separation. Like, just like if somebody, like, for example, if somebody threatened to kill me in person, like, yeah, I should just dox them at that point. I should call their friends, right, and tell them, or their family members or their workplace, and tell them about like the threat they did. So why shouldn't I do that to people online, right? Like, that's my actual honor. Like, I treat it the same. Somebody threatens me in person to kill me in person in real life, same thing as an internet threat, and I will like treat it exactly the same and go after them exactly the same way.
So the issue is a couple things. For one, I will agree to some degree that I do think there should be consistency between how somebody is in real life versus how they are on the internet. I do get tired of all of these fakes that are on the platform that present themselves as these ontologically good people, that are righteous and all of that, but in private they're like the biggest assholes that exist, right? That's annoying. I try to be as consistent as possible. How I act online, I try to keep in line with how I act in real life. So I do, to some degree, agree with the principle just for the sake of being consistent. you know, because if you're not being consistent in this regard, then how long before you're exposed as a liar, right? Which is basically career suicide on YouTube, you know. But however, fundamentally speaking, I do see a very big difference between a threat on the internet and a threat in real life. Like the distinction is there's a huge gap of difference between those two things. I get threats online all the time. Nobody's coming to my house. It's not going to happen. There are people that threaten to come to. There was UTTP, for example. They said that them and 10 of their friends were gonna come to my house, right? And I'm like, bro, I'll just shoot you. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere. I have guns. Like, what do you like? You want to have a shootout at my house? Like, cool, I guess, fine. It's dumb. And they weren't going to do it, and I didn't take it very seriously. If I'm in real life and somebody that I know at least a little bit threatens me in real life, I'm going to take that way more seriously than a bunch of kids on the internet or some anon chatter, right? I just don't take that seriously. I don't think that's a threat that's reasonable. And I don't think that, like, for example, the cops in real life would look at you seeing you responding to a Gmail threat with swatting as necessarily, or calling their workplace or doxing them. I don't think most people would view that as a hinged response, when the threat is very likely not a real threat.
So I'll agree in like an almost tautological sense, or it's like in a very self-reinforcing sense, that people don't treat the internet like real life, and so because of that, they do things that are different, that aren't serious, and then because they do things that aren't serious, people say that it doesn't matter. Like do you see it's like almost tautological, like, because
yeah, and because of that, the threats are likely not real.
Yes, people feel comfortable doing the threats because they know it's not going to be taken real. So that's why they do it. But like, I don't think that's a good thing. So
I think that's
like,
amazing.
yeah, of course,
I think it's great. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Why though?
I think it's great. I think
it's funny, sure.
No, like, the thing is, what makes the internet amazing is you get a window into how people really are. So like, what I don't like, so there's a lot of people that believe that most of the people that go online, they're fake, which there's a lot of those are mostly content creators. But the chatters, random people on Twitter, Reddit, no, you're seeing how these people, if not how they really are, how they want to be seen, right? So
is that really how they really are, though? Because I would almost argue that in some ways that's not how.
Well,
they
no.
Really
what I'm saying is, no. I mean,
it's like their deep dark thoughts.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
On the inside, how they really are, right? So because you never get like an inside window into how somebody really is, right? You don't get to see the dark side of a person, right? Because in my opinion, what makes a person, how you know someone isn't the good things; it's the bad things. Knowing the worst things about a person is more important than anything else you could possibly know about a person. A person could be a firefighter that saves lives on the daily, but if in private he's boinking toddlers, does it really matter that he's saving people all the time for a living anymore? No. So, and that's kind of the point. Like, the internet allows you to go on there and say the most unhinged shit that you wish you could say in real life. And because of that, I think that's interesting. I think that's amazing. I think that's really cool that I get to see somebody act out in a way that they feel that they want to act out and can't normally. I think that's cool. I think that gives deeper insight into humans. And I think if you try to suppress that, what you're actually doing is compromising one of the very few things that actually makes the internet cool.
I'll agree that it is interesting. I'll even say that there is some value to that. But like, kind of the stuff that you're saying, I would almost agree with if we're talking about like 15 years ago. Yeah, in like, anonymous hacker channels. Because how do I put this? Like when the internet was not real life, right? Like a long time ago, when not a lot of people were on it.
Yeah, I was alive back
Ha-
then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, me too. Yeah, I was alive back too. Yeah,
I'm
showing my
30.
age compared to these Discord normies, dude. Okay,
I'm going on 37 this year, so
yeah. Um, but I feel like the internet, like real life, has become the internet. Like that has affected. We'll say, like, if we had a zoo of what you're talking about here, like here's the crazy zoo, and we can look in on the crazy zoo. Yeah, that's going to be useful. But I don't want this to be real life. I don't want like this one-off interesting thing to be what controls normal people. And I think that's what happened. Like the internet has become so popular, so ubiquitous that it's not us like crazy weirdos anymore. It's everybody, and it's taking over. It's like instead of us affecting the internet, it's the internet affecting us, and then it like spreads out into real life, and it's really bad. It just feels really bad to me.
I mean, I'm okay with that actually. I don't see the problem with that at all. I really don't.
But it's you've almost like said that like the internet is bad.
I
but that's, like,
wish.
good.
Hold on,
Right?
hold on. I wish that the internet, like the amount of people that are this toxic online, would be like that in real life. That's something I would actively want. I would love it if people who are so free to make threats on the internet were as free to make those same threats in real life. I wish that were the case. That would be amazing. I don't see that. I don't think that's happening to the extreme that to any significant extent like you're painting it. I do think what you're saying happens, especially with language. Language has evolved in really stupid and absurd ways. Oh, okay. Well, while I'm waiting, I'll read the super chat. Okay, I'll just read the super chat real quick. Francis says, Stale2000 looks like the Boss Baby if it was in Breaking Bad making meth. What the fuck? Dude, okay. All right then.
So okay, sure. So I'll go with this a little bit. Like you want people to be more real in person. Why don't I get that same courtesy as well, right? Because I'm almost saying like I'll go harder, right? Like okay, like you're gonna attack me. Why I'm gonna attack you? But
I'm not
worse.
saying it's good. I'm not saying it's good.
Okay.
I'm just saying that the difference between you and me is I'm okay with the toxicity, right? Even if I don't like it. So, like, I don't like being threatened. Nobody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather that happen. I would find that more interesting than everybody walking around like it's the 1940s, dressed up in full suits, pretending like we don't beat our wives at home, right? Like that's the fundamental issue that I have. I don't like that fake shit. And so like whenever you promote like staying within the TOS, it feels like what you're promoting is a kind of corporate reality where everybody just sits there and pretends like they're not unhinged freaks. And the truth is, I don't like that. I think that's gay. I think it creates a lot of stale, no pun intended, content. Especially in the commentary sphere. I'll give a great example, Nicholas Diorio. A lot of Nicholas Diorio's content is actually just boring because he plays it safe. And he plays it safe to the point that he does heavily moderate his community. In fact, he plays it so safe, I did a stream defending him, and he still banned me, or blocked me, rather. So, because I guess he didn't like how I defended him, right? So the point I'm getting across here is that, like, I don't like that shit. I think that's gay. I think that's cringe. I think that forcing people to act out that way, to act fake, just to adhere to corporate people who are just doing this for money, that don't actually care like you do about the platform at all. They only care about marketability, how much money they could make, and to be as broad approaching as possible for advertisers, I don't think it's fair to say that we need to bend the knee to these people to that extent, that we all have to be these like boring content creators for the profits of billionaires who all probably hung out with Epstein. So I don't know, like I think it's a weird take, and I think that whenever you promote mass flagging in pursuit of that, what you're actually doing is ensuring the largest and most problematic content creators reign supreme over everyone else.
Sure. So I mean, yeah, you said a lot of stuff. I mean,
Sorry.
I don't want to talk about the philosophy stuff, right? Because I think that's really interesting. So, the reason why I have these opinions that I have is because, like, I'll call myself like a the reason why I know so much about this stuff is because I'm like a recovering troll, right? So, like, I was one of the people when I was 15, vandalizing Wikipedia and like trolling in Minecraft or
Yep.
whatever. Team killing in Halo.
Mhm.
And yeah, that stuff is. I'm not gonna pretend like that stuff's not fun. It is fun, but like eventually, I don't know how to say it. Like you like grow up. Eventually, you realize like that stuff that even if you could say it's like real to do that, like you realize that you have a choice as to what you do, how you affect people in your life, and like you have goals.
I think you should
that are
care
construct-
about
yeah.
I think you should care about your fun at the expense of all else.
Sure.
I
I'll even agree with
have
that,
a very egoist life philosophy there. So,
so I'm even gonna go along with you on that. I kind of realized it's more fun to be constructive than it is to be destructive. Like it is more fun to have goals, to build things, to put out like positive things in the world, like almost as like a game. Like imagine like life is a game and you're trying to hack it, you're trying to succeed at it. Like that's almost like a more interesting challenge in some ways than just being a troll and causing destruction. But
I mean,
it's hard to convince that
it could
people.
be for you, but and maybe
Yeah.
not for others, right? Like I don't want to moderate like what people view as fun. Like that's kind of the point, right? Is that I think that if you are going around trolling people and you think that's fun, I think that's fine. If you think building something from nothing and being constructive is fun, then go for it. There's nothing stopping you. So I just I don't really see the purpose in moderating either.
Well, it's not like freedom of moderation. It's like pushing people. Like let's say I feel like I have like because I feel like I have like a special insight into that. Like this is why I hate trolls so much, is because I'm like an anti-troll because I came from the trolls.
Oh God.
And the reason, yeah, so it's kind of like it sounds like cringe, but it's like I do feel like there's an insight that you get from doing this stuff so much that it just you learn that it's hollow, and it's hard to express that to people and get people to understand that. But like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm maybe most people they just find it fun, and they
Yeah,
never get over it.
I
But,
still troll. I think it's still fun.
sure,
Like
I do
whatever.
too. Yeah,
But like I don't know. I don't really care if they do that or not. I just don't. Like, look, I think you should be able to buy heroin at Walmart. So like, I'm not. I'm like very lax when it comes to these kinds of topics. I don't want. My fear, as I said earlier, like my main fear with moderating that kind of shit is like, because we're talking about snarkers here, which I don't know if you classify those as trolls, but I mean, kind of.
yeah.
But like, I my main fear of heavily mass flagging those into oblivion again just ensures that the biggest content creators reign supreme, because as established earlier, if you accept that these rules disproportionately affect smaller creators versus larger ones, that larger creators seem almost entirely immune, then what you're actually promoting is the absolving of smaller content creators that may hold those larger ones to account. So in other words, actually, to make this point, the snarkers you're against are the people that are more likely to mass flag the bigger creators that are the problem. So you're working against your own goal. And that's
I want
the
to go
point.
a bit of a tangent because I want to talk about this. I want to talk to you about like why I hate the snarkers so much. Okay. I almost respect it's because they think that they're right. That's what bothers me most about these guys. Like if they were just like a troll, if they were just like almost like you, if they were just like sitting behind their screen, like laughing on their alt accounts, like ha ha ha, I got him. I would respect that.
You're talking about self-righteousness, basically.
Yeah, yeah. If you just if you just want to be a troll and like vandalize Wikipedia, go ahead. But like, you're not. I don't think you're making the world a better place, and it creates so much vitriol, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I'm trolling and I'm never thinking about it later after I'm done trolling. I'm never like, oh, this is my righteous mission. No, you move on to something else,
Right.
But the snarkers don't.
I actually agree with you. I agree with you on this. Like that is an issue with snarkers. Like if you like remove the people you mentioned, like half of the people that snark Ralph Retort, right? That they treat this as like some self-righteous like crusade against a horrible person, right? And he is a horrible person, but the point is that they're not having fun. They're very serious. I had people, for example, so
they're
like
almost making themselves miserable.
Yeah, like there was a guy I was making fun of some time ago, and I had a lot of people throwing a psychotic fit because I bought the guy's book to read it for a video. And they're like, you gave him money. And I'm like, yes, but I wanted to read the book and make fun of the book. Like, I'm not giving him money to give him money, right? If anything, I'm corrupting like his work, you know? So like, so like, I understand where you're coming from there, but at the same time, I would argue the consequence of these snarkers, regardless of how righteous and snobby they're acting, the consequence of what they're doing is ultimately beneficial when holding larger content creators to account. More so than if they didn't exist at all.
Like a necessary evil or something. Or
yes.
I mean, so in some ways, I will agree that it feels like in the modern day, especially now, with like the clipping economy and the rage bait economy, it almost feels like you can be as horrible as you want, and like it's almost like beneficial to do that. Whereas I feel like people, do you remember, were people afraid of controversies before? I feel like a lot of the modern day people are not.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody ever was. I don't think so. No. I think controversies have always been like the lifeblood of drama, right? So, and people love drama.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time where anybody was like, oh my God, controversy, right? And a lot of the people that do say that are actually drama queens 9 times out of 10. So, but no, like all I'm saying is like, I don't really want a world where you have people like The Quartering or Destiny or Boogie2988 or any of these larger, well, I don't know if you count him as larger except in size, but I don't want the situation where these people feel empowered, these larger channels, because bear in mind, the taboo of mass flagging is the only thing preventing these channels from taking over the entire platform. Like,
well, they
like you realize,
honestly, you're overestimating the ambition of these creators. This is actually something that I wish another tangent. I wish content creators understood the power that they have. Not a lot do, and they don't do anything with it. It's like it's in the name. You're called an influencer, and you don't think that you can influence people. Like when was the last time like a major creator like did something like beyond just making money?
Right? I think that most of them do that, but I'm talking about whenever they're in like a controversy with another channel, right? Because like, so the
Yeah,
fundamental
they can attack
issue,
people, sure.
yeah, because like Destiny, do you think Destiny would mass flag channels in mass if he thought he could get away with it?
Absolutely. He already does. He already does it when he can.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and but notice he's like seemingly too big to fail, right? Like he still kind of just gets away with it. Whereas in the commentary sphere, where you got like Matt Jarbo, who completely lost his everything because he was mass flagging a channel down, right? So and then what you're advocating for is the reverse of that. And so basically what you're advocating for is for channels like those bigger channels to act in that behavior and to completely get away with it, or to feel like they can completely get away with it, to not even hide it. And that's like the thing that I don't want. I don't want these bigger channels to feel empowered. I don't want people like Queeman to be mass reported into oblivion by larger channels like Destiny, and for Destiny to feel like he can just do that. I don't like, you know, in you know, to everyone, because bear in mind, he's, in my opinion, Destiny is hiding his power level. He's hiding his power level, right? He would do this to a much greater degree.
I know so much more than you could imagine. He's one of the few people who does understand that he's an influencer. But I mean, we're looping a little bit on that, but sure. Oh yeah, I could understand you. Like, if you think that this is a powerful tool that big creators can use to oppress the small content creators, I could understand that.
Yeah,
and then my counter argument is like, okay, I think that they should just, you know, you can be safe. We've gone through these arguments before, is what I'm saying. But yeah, well, I get it. I understand.
Well, that's the ultimate consequence of what you're promoting, which I should say would be the inevitable consequence if it weren't for the fact that, by the way, user reports are actually completely useless. Have you looked up the stats on that, by the way?
I'm not, no.
Okay.
Okay, that's another question. Like, how do we, because I've had multiple of these conversations with people. I would love to like talk to a YouTube employee about this. Maybe I should.
The stats are publicly available.
Okay.
By Google.
Okay. What?
So, I can screen share. Hold on, I'll show you right now.
Sure. What is your YouTube channel?
Honestly,
Honestly, okay, I don't even know who you are. You just messaged me, and it's like I'll just have a conversation. But I'm curious.
Gilded Poo.
Gilded Poo. Okay.
So you see my screen?
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the number of flags, mass flags in the last quarter of 2025, right? So it's 22 million. Yeah, 22 million, right? The problem is that whenever you go and you look at the...
That's not that many. I thought it would be more.
Well, that's just the last quarter. So it's in upwards of hundreds of millions probably that year, right? But whenever you go and you look at the amount of videos that were actually taken down due to user reports, 118,000.
Well, it's not, yeah.
Like that's 0.5%, meaning user reports are practically fucking useless.
If doesn't that support my point in some way? So like it's like nobody's getting banned anyway from this, right?
I mean, no, it doesn't support your point. It kind of undermines the utility of your point completely. Because like if
it means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you flag people or not, right? Oh, I guess it scares people, but that's it.
Yeah, ultimately it doesn't really matter. But if it doesn't matter, why promote it? That's the whole point. Like what is there?
It would be the reason would be as like a bluff, like as like a threat, so that you could like say I'm gonna get you, and you know affect behavior of people because people think there's a big threat, but it's actually not. And so it would get the benefit of the threat, right? The point of a threat is to get people to change behavior. That's why you threaten people.
I don't see the utility in that whatsoever. I just think that's gay. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the philosophy arguments that you said were like very interesting, right? Because it was the whole idea of like, okay, maybe it's good to see what people are really like, and the internet is the way to do that. I can get that. It's just it just still bothers me that I feel like the internet's just taking over the real world, and that's kind of like an issue. But yeah,
I mean, it is in a way, but I don't think it's doing it to any significant degree. When it's thunder outside, I don't think it's doing it to any significant degree that warrants that level of attack online, like mass flagging and campaigns and shit. Because like the problem I have with promoting mass flaggings is like one of the things I disagree with you on is you said on the reasons why people mass flag. What I think the reason actually is people promoting mass flagging. Like, I think that's like the main reason all of those flags happen is a YouTuber or influencer says flag this channel down.
is that
I'm pretty sure.
I thought I was the only person brave enough to to make this controversial.
No,
claim.
no, like it's I think that so the problem is a lot of these guys on YouTube, they will, how do I put this, skirt around directly saying it. So they'll be like, yeah, this guy violated TOS, or this guy's a piece of shit for this reason, or he did this this is against the rules. And they'll say stuff like that, and it kind of implies something, and then people will take it upon themselves or feel like they're taking it upon themselves to mass flag a channel. But there are also YouTubers that have actually advocated for that. I think Destiny has said, go flag this down. Like, there are several YouTubers that have done that. And I think like I guess the better way to put it is the main reason people flag down channels is the influence of other influencers. Like, I don't think anybody independently watches a video and thinks, I need to flag this down. I don't think that happens.
It's like the majority.
I
don't
don't
consider that. Like maybe people are already mass flagging people all the time already.
I mean, obviously, if you have 20 million a quarter of a year, so
it is not. I was expecting more. That's not that many. So that could be.
Well, that's about 100 million a year. So that's a lot to me, anyway. So yeah, I just don't like what point I'm trying to get at is your idea, just what you're promoting seems useless in the first place.
The goal is to change behavior, right?
If your goal is to change behavior, threats that don't go anywhere, trying to mass flag somebody, and that mass flagging doesn't go anywhere, doesn't really do anything. It just goes, if anything, it might do the reverse and think, oh, I'm immune. They mass flagged me. It didn't work. Haha. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't, I don't know. I don't see
you're undermining, I feel like you're undermining your own arguments.
How so?
Because you're saying like I was causing, because if you're saying it just doesn't matter at all, like why would you be disagreeing with me? Why would you be like upset that I'm advocating for this?
Okay, so the reason the issue that I have is the idea, fundamentally. So the core root of the idea, irrelevant of whether or not it's useful. So up to this point, I've just been running off the assumption that it was, or not running off the assumption, but just like running with the hypothetical of, well, if this worked, but knowing that it is fundamentally completely useless in all practicality. And this is so what I'm arguing is basically your ideal internet world. And I disagree with your ideal internet world. I think that ideal is gay. You just have a bunch of people that are being as sterile as possible in their content, which just does nothing but reduce the amount of viewership that anybody gets. And if they're talking about anything useful at all, well, less people are going to see it because it's boring. So, like, in the long run, because we're only talking about, by the way, like, I have a really good question. What do you think the majority of channels being taken down are taken down for in the first place?
Okay, probably sexual content would be an obvious one. Maybe saying a slur, or spam, I guess too. Like if somebody's like using AI now these days. It's hard to say. I'm just making this is these
So
wild guesses.
I want to point out that the 81% of all channel deletions and video removals are done due to spam. Fun fact, by the way, most of that spam comes from India. Just throwing that out there. I don't know why India has a special obsession with spam, but that seems to be the case according to YouTube's own stats. What you're talking about, like harassment, cyberbullying, and whatever, is less than 2%.
Okay, I mean, I didn't. I mean, I guess I'm not that surprised because, yeah, I mean, kind of what I'm saying is like I don't think this is that common of a problem. Anyway.
In fact, for channel removal, harassment and cyberbullying accounts for 0.3% of the entire platform.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow. So I guess it's not. But like, okay, that's why I want it to be more. It's like nothing. Like nobody's getting nuked for this.
And then for violent content, for channel removal, it's 0.2%. Like the point I'm getting across is that what you're advocating for in an ideal universe is a minority of a minority. Like it is such an insignificant and niche issue in the first place compared to the overall landscape of YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is the problem, right? It's like not enough people are getting banned.
It's not that not enough people are getting banned. I just don't think it's actually an issue that warrants mass flagging in the first place.
Okay, so you think it's rare? You basically think like forget about how many people get banned for it. It's just like cyberbullying is actually like maybe okay. To be clear, maybe it's only like these like 5 people. How many people are in the commentary community? Like less than a dozen. Maybe it's only like 12 people who are doing this.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and I'm just like in this group of people, like literally 12 people out of millions, and then like I just see the worst of it. Yeah. See, that's my problem. I just get involved with the wrong people. I'm involved with like these crazies.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's what I'm saying is I think you're in a negative feedback loop, and because like this isn't actually like an issue worth an entire video promoting mass flagging. I just don't see like there's just absolutely no utility. It would only be for those communities.
I mean, I called out people specifically, right? So
yes,
but yeah, that community, they still bother me though.
Well, even for child safety,
sure.
Even for child safety alone, that's still less than 4% of channels removed.
Sure.
And in fact, the total number of channels removed in that last quarter was just under 2 million.
Okay. So, I mean, I'll agree that almost nobody's. So, I mean, I'll agree that a lot of people are following the rules. That's kind of my point. Is like the vast majority of people, regular, normal people, are not breaking the rules and don't have to worry about any of this. Mm-hmm. It's only kind of these specific groups of people that I think are very problematic.
I mean,
but yeah.
But even then, like, I just don't think they're problematic to the extreme of taking down entire videos. Like Chud Logic's thing, like, it wasn't that bad. What do you do? Call him a piggy or something? Like, referring to
he does stuff all the time. Like,
I mean, I'm not.
Like, is anybody unexpected?
I'm not defending his overall content. Sure. He's in the gray area all the time, right? Yeah. As you put it. But in that particular case, for all the things to get mass flagged for, it was the title of a stream where he called somebody fat.
Sure. Yeah. So let me be clear again about what my goals of all of this. It's not that I actually want people to be banned. It's that I want people to change behavior, right? And so. Yeah, like almost like if everybody just decided to be nicer, like without anybody having to do anything. So
you want, but then
that's
just asking for everybody to be fake.
It's, I mean, you choose who you are. Like you can choose to be your best self.
That is being fake. Because you said earlier that you don't see the distinction between real life and the internet, and I somewhat agreed with that in so much as I think that the behavior you exhibit online should be at the very least reminiscent of the behavior you exhibit in real life. So, but what you're saying now is that you want people to put on a mask and pretend to be somebody they're really not, for the sake of being nice.
I would argue it's not a mask. I can argue I would argue that you can change yourself and just be, if you like, you are who you act like.
I mean, I'm going to
you become like that
fundamentally
person.
disagree with that. I don't think people change at all. I think after you turn 25 years old, who you were at 25 is who you're going to be pretty much for the rest of your life. So, like, which seems to be very well supported in the studies.
That's very sad, though, right? Like, I don't know. I like to think that things can be better. I'm a very optimistic person when it comes to
it's better from your vantage point, right? So if we're talking about your vantage point, like you're talking about recreating an entire platform in what what you believe is the ideal, or the internet, and by your ideal,
the whole internet, yeah,
by your ideal, right? And the problem I have with that is that your ideal is just asking for everybody to be nicer on the internet, which I just think is it's insane.
It's not okay. It's not just nicer. It's more intentional, right? So if somebody wants to be an asshole, that's fine, but they should be smart about it. Like, I almost respect people who can get around the rules more than people who can't. So if you want,
then they're in the gray area, though.
Yeah. But if you're in the gray area and you can get away with it, like you're so good at being in the gray area, I respect you entirely. You can do whatever you want. Right.
But then you said they deserve to be banned if they're in the gray area.
It's if you're stupid. Maybe I think I guess I should have said this earlier. It's that if you're in the gray area and you're dumb enough to get caught, those are the people that I don't like. It's the incompetent people. If you're competent, if you can do it, if you can get away with it, you can be as close as you want if you're smart about it. But
so at what point are we just trusting AI, basically? Like, this is what this comes, we're trusting the corporation.
I mean, sure.
Like this is the issue, is like we can go with your ideal, but the bottom line is that your ideal is going to be secondary to YouTube's AI enforcement. And
yeah, but that's a part of being smart, though. Right? Like, if you are smart and you're able to get around those rules, if you're able to figure out what you can get away with or not, that's
what everybody's trying to do, right?
Yeah, and the smart people do it, get away with it, and the dumb people don't. And I think, like, the dumb people, like, that's almost like the bigger crime. It's not like it's being stupid about it that bothers me the most.
Okay, so hold on. So up until Chud called Nick fat, he was smart about it.
Yep.
I don't agree with that. I think he said some insane shit.
Okay, maybe
before
not that.
But he got away with it, which is weird. Or the quartering. I don't know if how much you followed.
That's a risk. So like, he could have been taking a risk, and he it's not getting away with it. It's that doing the thing that is likely to get away with it. Like,
well, I'm just saying that
they're
not necessarily smart. They're just big enough that they're not even lucky. They're just big enough platforms that they can get away with more. That's it. Like I don't get away with any of this shit.
Sure.
Okay, at all. I don't get away with any of it. There are people that get away with, like, I can't even type certain words in chats that aren't even bad words. They just get removed. So so the point I'm getting at is that it's not that they're lucky. It's not that they're smart. It's just they happened to get big enough that YouTube isn't going to enforce them as much as they would enforce somebody like me. Like, that's the issue. Like, I don't know. Like, that's my entire point, is that the enforcement is schizophrenic. I think you're giving too much onus to the user and not enough blame to the platform itself. Like, I think
I think platform rules should be enforced better, but like, here's the thing. all of this is being talked about almost like without getting any data. Like I would want to know, I really do want to know like what YouTube employees think about this, right? Because I don't know, it's almost like we're talking. There could be. I am curious. Like, are there easy answers to everything that we talked about, or like if YouTube, like if a YouTube employee came and talked to us, would he be like, "Oh, you guys are all right," or would he be like, "Oh no, you're idiots. You don't know what you're talking about."
Well, the problem is it doesn't really matter what an employee at YouTube thinks, because
well, they know that's how it works.
More than 70 to 80% of all the enforcement is done by a fucking robot. Like, so even if an employee at YouTube was like, yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying, it doesn't really matter. Yeah,
they build the robots and they know
but
what it does.
But they're obviously not going to stop everything to change the robot. Like they don't
the robot all the time.
Okay,
they're probably like dozens of people working on the robot.
Well, maybe make something more clear. Okay, they have the God view. We don't. Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're walking through a field and you step on an ant colony, you're probably not going to care that much, okay? Because they're ants. But you know who will care? The ants. We're the ants. YouTube can sit there and they might lick your butthole all day long, being like, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, this is kind of inconsistent, whatever. Like, because they have to. They work for YouTube. They can only say so much, right? So they have to, in some way, placate the scenario. But the bottom line is they have the God view. They're not going to care about all these little tiny channels that are being fucked over by their AI. They're only going to care about those channels that they actually pay attention to that make them money. That's what takes priority.
It still gets some bad publicity. Like there's Twitter threads about this all the time.
I mean, which can all be easily ignored and is like, this is kind of the point. Like now you're forced, like, dude, you do realize you are forced now to go to Twitter to get your shit reviewed by a human. Like, you basically don't have a choice.
And so I want to know why, so it could actually be that they're just incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, I've worked at fan companies before. I was at Twitch. That's literally and those people do not know what they're doing.
That's what I'm suggesting. Yeah.
It would just blow my mind. Like, you could be right. Because Google has gone downhill, I would say, in the last like 5-10 years. Like, it used to be like the top tech company you would go work for in like 2015.
Yeah.
Not anymore. But I would love to see that confirmed. I guess. So like, sure. So if it turns out that like, okay, Google is uncaring and incompetent, and it doesn't matter because like you're just the ants, and they'll just let the little guy get destroyed. Like, yeah, in that case, I would just concede that yeah, I'm wrong on everything, right? But I want to know the other side, like, because I can't get this out of my head, right? Like, I want to know, like, are they this bad, and how do we actually prove it? Because it's not just this. It's not just us talking like this. I want to know what the other side is. Like, what would a trust and safety employee say about this stuff?
I mean, they would probably say whatever they needed to say in the moment. Like, I honestly don't think like even if they can. Even if they completely agree with you, they can only say so much. Like you know what I mean? Like, they can't.
You could get somebody who left. No, you could get somebody who like left in like 2024 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but the point I'm getting across here is that like I just don't think. I think that YouTube is over automated to the extreme where. Like, these people that work for them may very well honestly think everything's going fine and not see the problems they're in. I mean, like, and that's kind of like something that happens when companies get too big. This happens all the time. You might have guys that work for Google that like have really harsh opinions about how this shit works, and they can't tell you that. Like, they can't sit there and talk mad crap about it unless I guess he was a former employee. But how much merit does that have? That could be just a disgruntled employee, and who cares? Like YouTube's not going to care. So the fundamental problem with all of this is that there is really nothing you can do except talk about boring flower content. Like, and that's like really all you get. That's your bottom
Wouldn't it make
line.
you curious though? Would you want to talk? Like, how about this? Could we get a panel together? I'll ask. I'll reach out to my LinkedIn friends. I'll see if I have any YouTube employees in my my contact list. I do. I really think it would be cool though to talk to like some trust and safety person.
I mean, it would be
On this
interesting,
stuff.
but I feel like it would be a
Yeah.
fruitless endeavor.
Maybe, yeah.
Considering they love their corpo speak. So like, it's insane. But no, one thing that as I said, like, to how do I put it, to summarize my point of view, I think mass flagging is cringe and gay, and if it worked, I think it would be a danger to the platform, because you would give monopoly to a bunch of larger channels with nefarious intent, and that's assuming it would work, which it won't. So like, it's otherwise useless.
I mean, yeah, we've looped on this a couple times. So I get it.
So I mean, do you still disagree with that, or?
I mean, you brought up some points that I didn't like, especially the philosophical stuff about like what should the internet be, that made me think a lot, and I think that's very useful. But I mean, so like I am more closer to your side than I previously was before, but we'll say only 10% closer.
Okay.
Because yeah, I mean it's my when I make a video like that, I don't want to say that like I'm lying or anything, but I'm like trying to start a conversation. I'm trying to like talk about these things. And so I don't know where it's going with that.
See, my solution.
Yeah, like what's your solution?
My solution to your problem is you should moderate none of that and just be trial by fire. So in other words,
but that's what's happening now.
Exposure therapy. It's actually not. No, it's not the current. In fact, I would argue this is the soyest the internet has ever been. I want it to go back to the 90s and early thousands, where it was just a bunch of schizophrenics screaming at each other all day long. And there was a bunch of people, like, you had to either suck it up and ignore them or block and walk. These were your options. And in fact, I would say even take away the block button. So you should be constantly forced and exposed to all of those types at all times, and force you to learn to ignore people if you don't like it. I think it should be a total Wild West environment, with the only rules being no crimes broken or advocation of crimes being broken, any crime, and also no porn. And outside of that, like, everything else is fair game. Don't care. If you defame if you defame somebody and you get sued, well, that's on you. So
I would agree, as long as we can kick out the normies. Okay, so if we can kick out 90% of the people from the internet, we could go back to that. But
I think the normies would go away as a consequence of that. Because bear in mind, I don't know if
destroy it, so we're the only ones left. We're the gods of our own making.
Yeah, I don't know if I said this before, but like I pretty much, how do I put this? Started off as a 4chan troll. So that's where I come from, is the 4chan shit from many a year ago in the early thousands. But like, and I was big on the troll the normies off the internet thing. Did not work. They won. So the bottom line is also, I don't care about the corporate shit. I don't believe in sucking up to corporations. And this is even at the cost of people making money on the platform. That's fine. If people don't want to advertise anymore because it's become a toxic hellscape, don't care. Don't give a fuck. My ability to say what I want, when I want, and the way in which I choose to say it, I think takes precedent over me making a single cent.
Sure. So I can get that. I think the solution is to get rid of the algorithm. Do you know what I mean when I say that? The algorithm? I feel like that's what controls us. these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, the thing that constantly recommends shit based on what you watch and shoves it all in your face. And we go back to
Yeah,
old YouTube where you subscribe and you get notifications to what you subscribe to.
yeah, it's not even like on YouTube, it's like everywhere. The
Yeah,
algorithm
yeah.
controls
It's
everything
on
right now.
Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it either. No, I've never liked it. I think one of the main issues with it is I think it's a major contributor to depression. Actually, at the moment, so like, say you're on TikTok and you're watching like
Yeah.
weird my husband abused me videos, and then you just get loops of just spousal abuse ad nauseum to the point now you're thinking your spouse abuses you. Like like
Yeah,
shit
it's
like
just mind
that.
control too.
Yeah, and so like,
So like, yeah, I would be on board with almost, honestly, like almost everything that you're saying, as long as we go back to like IRC channels and like independent forums
yeah,
and stuff. It's
I would
I
love
just
that.
can't have this plus, yeah, plus whatever Facebook and Twitter and YouTube is, or and TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, so but to move the subject along, because I had one last
Sure.
question. I don't know
Yep.
how long this one's going to take, but you brought up anonymous in your video that you were a part of anonymous. First question I really have to ask here: when?
This was in 2012.
Okay,
So okay, I said that, and it sounded like I was a badass hacker, but like that's not really what Anonymous was. Anonymous was like one of the most egalitarian groups out there
yeah, all you had to do
by
was say you're
definition.
anonymous, and yeah, you were a part.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
and you were, and I like that about that. And so yeah, I do feel, I feel fine saying that I was a part of that because anybody could say that. But yeah,
I
this is
mean, I
2012. This is
was,
during LulzSec.
yeah, I
This
was
is
a,
during LulzSec.
now when you
Is
say you were a
around that.
part of anonymous, did you mean like you were actually one of the people participating in the hacking and stuff, or just on one of the forums?
So I did create a viral situation. It was called the Anon Party. So I tricked the Guardian into writing an article about me about how Anonymous was going to create a political party. I can't find the article anymore. I think I got taken down. But that was the funny thing that I did, and then I got doxxed, and then I just got doxxed after that, and so and then I stopped. But yeah, that was the funny thing I did, is I got a reporter. I was on the call with the reporter, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, now Anonymous is making a political party," and then a bunch of people in Anonymous were mad at me because like you're going legit. You can't do that. You can't make a political party. Yeah. So that was my fun trolling moment, but it wasn't hacking. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it still counts though. That's still funny. I
I,
feel like that's still a good troll.
I mean, I would love to see that article, but sure. Like, but the thing is, though, is that like you do realize, like, so I'm asking because from the video it made it sound like you were part of the hacker group. So I was like, I, I was sitting there and I'm watching the video and I'm like, you do realize you're incriminating yourself when you say that.
No.
Right.
So there was I found one Reddit thread about this. So actually I'll put it in your. There's nothing there. It's like deleted. But this was what it was about. And there's no video anymore. So it just says message from the Anon party. But yeah, that was it. And there's nothing there. So that's all that's left. But no, I did not hack anybody.
Okay. So, well, I mean, it was an important question because you said you were part of Anonymous, and then later you were like, I know I come off as a nice guy and people don't see me as a threat, but I am a threat. And it's like, what are you gonna dox people? Like, what are you gonna hack them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how you went about saying that right after saying the other thing came off like you were implying you were some like hacker bro from the Anon.
I wouldn't. Okay, the internet's changed now, right? So like if I were trying to cause harm to people, it's not like hacking that I would do. There's so many better ways of causing harm.
Yeah, sure, but I'm just saying that's how it came off in the video. Was like you
Yeah.
were implying that if you like, I used to be a part of Anonymous. If you push me, I'll fuck with you, right? Like that's how it came off, really heavily in that video.
That is okay. That is true, but it's not through hacking. Okay, like what even is hacking?
Sure.
Like okay, people think this is like so crazy. Like when I think of hacking, I just think of like having the will to do it. Okay, like thinking thinking about like what are the things that you could do that are available to you. It doesn't even have to be that hard, and just doing it. like I could tell. Oh, I don't know if I should say this. I could tell you something that could like destroy the entire creator economy.
Okay.
Well, it's not okay. I'm just saying like DMC. Okay, do you know DMCA?
Mm-hmm.
That is that is the easiest way of like just destroying creators because like
Yes.
everybody reacts to everybody,
Yeah.
and so like you could just like get so many people banned. Like if like
In theory,
for example,
yeah.
Like I could just like I mean I've had people react to my stuff. I would not do it, but it's just fun to think about.
Sure. Like all I'm saying is that just it comes off unhinged as fuck in your thing. So
Yeah, I'm trying to be unhinged. Okay. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I did used to be unhinged. I was that. I mean, you're talking about how you were in 4chan groups and stuff. Same here, dude. I was talking to like Lulsec people who are in jail now.
Well, right. But the moral of the story is difference was I was just like trolling. I wasn't like out there like you know, doing any of the more nefarious stuff that Anonymous is more well known for. I mean, granted, I mean, I was on an anonymous forum once when I was younger, many a year ago, but I wouldn't call myself anonymous, right? And like, cause like whenever you say I was a part of the anonymous group, nobody's thinking of a forum or, you know, trolling somebody with an anonymous party. They're thinking the cyber terrorist group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they had a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Not everybody was like honestly, most people were just making YouTube videos. They would put on like a Guy Falcon's mask and like put on a voice changer and they would like say that they're anonymous. Like not everybody did the hacking stuff.
Right. Well, I know, but that's what people are going to think of when you say that. So that's why in your video, it comes off that, especially when you follow it up with, I'm not a threat. Yeah. Like
I wish I did. Okay. If I were to go back in time, I would do all of that. Okay. Because it would be so much cooler if I could take credit for that now, but I didn't. And so that's why
that wouldn't be cooler. You'd be opening the door to being looked into by the Fed. Like,
yeah, nobody cares. Okay, who hasn't? Okay, I did install the. Okay, do you remember the low orbit ion cannon?
No.
So I did install that on my PC. No, it's called the low orbit ion cannon.
Yeah.
A lot of people did this, so I don't care that I'm admitting to this. So the low orbit ion cannon was a DDoS software that anybody could just install on their PC, and then it just infects your CPU with the botnet, and then you just like DDoS people. So I think I did do that once, but like we're talking like one computer among like tens of thousands DDoSing a website for like a day. So yeah, that's what's called a low orbit ion cannon because it's in low orbit because it's on the ground, and it's an ion cannon because it kills the website.
Right.
But no, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any of the cool stuff. I wish I did the cool stuff, but I did not.
All right. Well, I mean, so you never owned a Guy Fawkes mask?
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
That would be cool. That'd be so cool, dude. If there's like a YouTube video of me from like 15 years ago in a guy, that'd be so cool. No. But no.
Okay. And that's everything. So if you watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you. And if you really liked it, consider becoming a member today, or perhaps a patron. Patreon being linked down below. Thank you for watching, and as always, go fuck yourself.